arts of karate, I bust you down like Itachi, cause you legit and Hachi. Straight kamikaze, I'm talking dead bodies as I go straight brawly. Y'all niggas could hardly be me, I'm not part of the sea. I'm part of the sea like Moses. No psychosis or hocus pocus, I put in potent to stay focused. Ignore all the BS on my timeline, I throw a lifeline for those thinking I ain't about mine. Hit you upside your head with a tie iron. Can't be your time if it's my time. The set to be patient, I'm patiently waiting. It's driving me crazy, cause lately the odds that I'm facing is basic and basically tragically hating. Anticipating my fall, they want it all for themselves. So I made the call, no need to stall. I go and get them all off of the shelf. I take affirmative action, I'm blasting and laughing of how you reacting to my satisfaction of cashing injections and Benjis and Wilsons, the life that you always imagined. Brother from the goal, yeah. If you ever see him go, it's Holocaust or Holy Ghost, overcome or overflow. Either way it's overdose. Watch you walk or comatose, penetrating to your soul. Tit for tat and toe for toe, pound for pound and blow for blow. You would never see me fold. Claiming that what you don't know, that is how you get exposed. Left for dead with bullet holes.
Promise you leave it alone. Promises all day.
We going up, shit going down. We lighting them up, you best hit the ground. Shooting them up, one after round. When there's blood in the air, you better not dare to come around town. Father, please forgive me, have mercy on my soul. Fools keep trying to test me and I will never fold. It's the way that Wendy raised me, the city of the gold. Load them up and let them go, load them up and let them go, load them up and let them fly.
Every time, it just amps me up. It gets me fired up, man. You already know what it is. It's Il Divino Vega. Here we are. It's the Chop Shop. Nothing is off the table, part 6. And I think that title is fitting, especially for who I brought on as the guest today. And I really am excited to get into this conversation with him. But it's none other than yours truly, Prime the Godfather. What it do, bro?
What's up?
Sure, you already know what it is, man. Obviously, the hype is real right now, or not, depending on, I guess, where you stand on things. But we got a lot to talk about, and when I say a lot, I mean there's a lot to kind of like. I want to like things that I've been coming across in these past couple of days, and I think that are worthy of discussion. Let me go ahead and stop the music. But obviously, we're going to start with probably the more anticipated part of the conversation, and that's obviously the new Superman movie that's about to come out, or that I guess technically came out for a few people already that got to watch the early screenings, and then obviously about to come out for the rest of us, I guess, lower level, the peasants. You know, but by chance, did you get an early screening, or are you still, I guess, or are you even gonna watch it? I guess I should probably also ask.
Well, no, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna see it 2 times. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go see it Thursday, and then I'm gonna go see it Saturday.
Okay.
So
Okay.
actually, so I mean, and just to clarify, the people that got the early screenings early, those are pretty much people that were the actual critics, and then those were the influencers, and they got the actual early screenings, depending on what type of market that they're in. And then the people as of today, which is the 8th, those are the individuals that had the Amazon subscription, and if they market actually had it, they can actually go to the theater and can watch it today. Right. So so today is actually where real reviews is really going to come out. There ain't no influencers, there ain't no critics. These are real people that actually go into the theater today to actually go watch it.
Okay. So there you go. And with that being said, though, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of different, obviously, reviews about it. It's kind of like, I feel like it's been there for a while now from those that got to see the test screenings. It's been across the board, right? It hasn't been like everybody excited for it, or like, obviously you have those that have been like that they liked it, they're amped about it, they like what I guess Gunn is doing. There are those that are somewhere in the middle where they're like they like some of it, but then other things that they can do without, and then there's those that just I guess hate it. So it's like it's all around the board with this movie. I guess not surprising. You know, personally, I guess I think I expected this out of, you know, when we first were announced that Superman was coming out, and obviously that James Gunn was directing it. I personally have my I had my personal concerns that even once the trailers came out, turned out to be true, and that's that I feel like this is very much a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with Superman, you know, and DC characters. It's that kind of vibe, and I get some people are going to want to see that and going to watch. Not that they want to see that, but they want to watch that. I guess you could say, or they want that out of their comic book character movies and stuff. And even if it's DC, that's what they want. That's what they like, and that's cool. Like whoever's going to eat off of this and enjoy it, like enjoy it. You know, it's here, it's there for you. You know, I'm not, you know, like I'm definitely not. Even though it's not my taste, even though it's not what I want, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know, and tell you how to feel and tell you what to like. You know, it is what it is. Like if whoever this is for you. Enjoy it. Enjoy while it's here. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, what was your initial, I guess, I mean, I'm sure you've said it on other platforms, but just so there could be like a refreshment in the conversation of how it is you feel. What was your initial thoughts about the film? What were your thoughts once you saw the trailers? And then like, what's your thoughts about it going into it now? Once you know, going to go watch it.
Well, just from the trailers and just alone from what we've seen, it was basically what I already knew what we was going to get.
Right.
When it was announced, when James Gunn announced it that he was going to actually do and what he was actually going to, what his inspirations were, I already knew what we was going to get. You didn't even have to tell me. I already knew right off the bat.
Right.
And then as further as time went on, it has came more present that after we saw the trailers, it was right on point. I already knew it would be either he was going to go either bronze or silver age.
Right.
I already know a lot of his inspiration was from Superman from the 1978 and Superman 2 and stuff like that. I already knew that.
Right.
And from the things that he was actually suggesting, well, actually he was getting feedback on, but then trying to deflect on, you know, what did the actual audience, what did they actually want? You know, I don't know if you remember when he put out that tweet and asked about, do you prefer Superman with the trunks and without the trunks? And then he tried to deflect and say, well, no, this is not feedback. I'm just, you know, I'm like, dude, he was getting feedback from the people to find out exactly what individuals actually wanted, which he didn't even have to do that. He didn't have to do that feedback because I already knew he was going to use the trunks anyway. Right. But with that being said, and then when the trailers actually came out, well, actually the actual, not the trailer, it was the actual, what was that thing called? It was the first one, but it's not a trailer. It was
the teaser trailer.
The teaser.
Yeah.
And when he brought out that teaser, and then when I saw it, I was just like, "Yep, that's what we're going to get."
That's what we're going to get.
already knew. We're going to get a Saturday morning cartoon, cartoon Super Friends. I'm like,
right.
So I was just like, hey, I mean, it's not, you know, and people, I don't want people to think that it's a bad thing. All I can just tell people is that, you know, this is a how can I say, this is a regurgitating problem that they have, just in my humble opinion.
Go, I get you.
Because they keep on, they're not understanding that evolution is something that actually happens. All right. People got to understand is that from all the Superman films that have been put out there, that's from all the Christopher Reeve ones, all four of them. And then you have the Brandon Routh. Right. And then you have this one. What are all the similarities that these films have? What's all the similarities that they have? They all have the same particular take on what they have. And on top of that, even though John Williams' theme is iconic, I'm not taking nothing away. All right. But that theme was introduced in 1978. I was 2 years old. Right. Okay. Right. I'm 49 now. I was 2 years old when that came out. Wow. So, and they regurgitated that theme in Superman Returns. And now they're thinking that it's something new that they're returning to it in Superman 2025. They just remixed it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but other than that, you know, I don't want to go long-winded on it, but those are just certain things that I knew straight off the bat.
Right.
You know, I already knew straight off the bat on what was to come. So,
right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I mean, I actually do remember either I was on the same panel with you, and I think when we had that conversation, but I definitely remember you saying that. And granted, like, so even when I say, well, you're 100% right, obviously, is that, you know, and this is what I told Sil the last time I was on his thing, is like, I don't like this idea that they try and confuse you, or not confuse you. It's like they think they can fool you, and I guess some are fooled into thinking this is something new or going to be something different, but it's like, it's not really different or new. You're just remixing something that's already been done. And this concept of like retrofitting something from the past to fit in today's time, I'm not a big fan of that. Personally, that's like a personal thing of mine. Kind of the same reason I'm having issue with even the Fantastic Four film. You know, like, I'm just like, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not living in that time period. Why are we, you know what I'm saying? But like, at least for the Fantastic Four, it's like, at least maybe it's being introduced as a time period film, and that I can accept, you know, in the same way as Joker from Todd Phillips is a timepiece of like type of film, you know what I'm saying, where it's like you're in a certain time period. That, so like things like that I can actually get behind that, you know, but or in a sense, like, force myself to get behind that, I guess you could say. Because again, for me, it's like, if I want to go into that time period, I'll just watch a movie from that time period, you know what I'm saying, and travel back in time that way. So I really don't need it to be reintroduced. But okay, like, if it's a timepiece, cool, I get it. I just hope the story is done well enough that it makes sense. But as far as Superman's concerned, I feel like it's this weird retro remix, you know, like, you know, that remix thing is a great word, because that's exactly what it feels like. You're taking like that Silver Age, Bronze Age type esque Superman feel, and not just Superman, like, even like you said, the was it the Justice Friends or the Super Friends, you know what I'm saying, Super Friends type vibe, you know what I'm saying, with even the aesthetics, you know what I'm saying, the type of looks that they got going on, not, you know, even with Green Lantern and stuff like that, and then you're trying to but at the same time trying to modernize it and make it feel present with the technology, the social media aspect, how I guess the culture is and where we're at the moment, or I guess pop culture is that, as far as that's concerned. But anyways, all that to say that I had an issue with that from the jump. But again, I'm always willing to give those kinds of things a chance if I feel the story is going to be done right, or if everything else at least does it justice, right? But then, to be honest, yeah, like I said, once the trailers came out, and especially that sneak peek with Crypto, I for sure at that point was like disenchanted to the max. I was like, oh no, you're saying they're not gonna do my boy Superman like this, damn. You know, and then the trailers kind of just kept pushing that. Now I'll give credit where credit is due, and that's that they went hard on the marketing, you know, like, and a part of me kind of is, if I'm gonna be honest, I feel a bit also disenchanted, but not because it's the wrong move. It might be the wrong move because this might be the wrong movie to do it for. Time will tell. But more so because I just feel like, you know, you guys had like other great potential films prior to this one that you guys could have backed with the same money you put into this one, that probably would have, you know, could have done it justice, you know, and that's, you can range that from like Aquaman 2 to maybe even the Flash movie, Blue Beetle, you know, movies that you guys, for whatever reason, just and I just can't help feel, but purposely did it. Like, you purposely sabotage the funding so that you can properly fund this one to properly push this one. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a reason for that though, because you got to remember that those films where they were green lit, that's from the prior regime.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So, and basically what you stated was that they wasn't going to put all the actual resources to actually put it into those films, because all they wanted to do, they just wanted to honor the contractual agreements with those films,
right.
get them out, get them done, so they can be done with it, so they can go ahead and do this process.
Now, do you think though, don't you think that could also have backfired on them? Meaning, you shot yourself in the foot by damaging the DC brand prior to this film coming out, thinking you're going to do yourself a service, but you might be doing yourself a disservice, because it could be that the hype for DC is gone now, because at least, like on a grander scale, you know what I mean? And I only say that because it seems like a lot of people that I got into, that I was talking to about, like that, that we would talk about the Superman movie, like, oh, like, are you guys going to see the Superman movie, whatever? And it was always like, man, what are they even, like, they're lost. They don't even know what's happening with DC no more. Like, it was like, oh, is that a new thing right now? Like, a lot of people are not even aware now. I mean, I'm sure now they are, because again, credit where credit is due. They went hard on the marketing.
They went extremely hard.
Extremely hard on marketing this past 2 weeks.
Aggressive, extremely aggressive.
Extremely aggressive. So credit where credit is due. Again, I'm not so sure. I'm just not so sure it's going to pay off. I hope it does for them, but I just, again, for me, it's like, man, I don't necessarily know this was the right move, but I guess time will tell. I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced that this movie is gonna do the numbers it needs to. And then I also feel so. And then there's also, let me also mention this. I also do feel that the over aggressiveness of the marketing, because I also do feel that was a thing. I feel like you guys were too aggressive on the marketing now, meaning you're showing too much now. Like, there was too many like sequences that we shouldn't be getting. Like, we shouldn't have been able to see this. Like, apart from the fact that at first you should have never done the sneak peek with the crypto thing. I think that damaged the that was like a damage for you guys, whatever. Again, now it seems like the marketing after following that was like damage control, so to speak, more than it was like actually promoting. And then it got to a point like, okay, now it's promoting, but then it felt like it got to a point like, now you're over promoting, because now you're showing too many scenes, right? Like, now I got this whole scene with Superman entering the office of Lex and asking about his dog, and clearly now I know that there's a story plot to that. I shouldn't have seen that. I shouldn't know that that's in the film. A lot of things that are like that. I don't know, like, or even as many the like still sequences, not still sequences, like short sequences. I just feel like you're showing too much. Like, don't show me. You shouldn't have shown me the actual tone of the film to its most extreme, I guess. Like, I shouldn't be seeing Superman like tired out, all like, oh, I'm doing something here. Like, I shouldn't. You shouldn't show me that. Don't show me that. Don't show me Mr. Terrific's garage struggling to open when he's a damn tech genius. Like, and granted, don't get me wrong. I know what that's for. Not that I like it in the film, but I know why they're doing it. I know that their idea is these are the comedic reliefs that are gonna be, I guess, pleasant to the general audience. I know that's what they're shooting for, and possibly even the maybe gun / Marvel fans that are gonna go see this movie that know that that's his style. But
part of it,
yeah, for sure. But again, I just felt like, man, I think you're showing too much, just a little too much. Like, reserve some of that for the theater experience. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying, but then at the same time, I kind of do like it, because for the simple fact is that it shows that they are really committed to what they're trying to do and what they're trying to push moving forward. Because, and again, like you said, yes, it is for the general casual audience. That's what they're trying to grab, most definitely.
For sure.
Now, the part what you were saying about crypto, you know what that's for.
Oh, 100%.
That's for the women.
Yeah.
That's
women
for
and
the
children. Women and children.
Women and children. So it's pretty much for more of a family thing. So they put the dog. So they're going to promote that a lot more. for the people that don't know, with the marketing with crypto, they did a dog event for it. They promoted with that.
Yep.
They did another. Let's see. They got the crypto toys. They got a crypto book. They got a. They're doing everything possible for the dog.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Right.
So you gotta understand that that's the marketing thing.
100%.
I'm not mad at the marketing. I'm not mad that they're showing too much.
Right.
Because
I
knew that they was purposely doing it, because in past times, even if you showed a clip of the film in early viewings and somebody put it out, they snatching that quick. No, they deliberately did that on purpose. They haven't been taking nothing down.
Right.
That goes back to that goes back for them being extremely aggressive in their marketing. They're trying to get this out as much as possible.
True, but don't you think that part of that feels like, to me, I'll say that desperate. You're showing me you're desperate. You're showing me you're not confident that you actually are sure that people are excited to see this film, that you feel you have to overexpose this film. That's what that's coming across as to me. As well as even now this last minute Hail Mary of let's virtue signal what the film's about and talk and say that it's about politics and an immigrant story, to hopefully, like, I feel like it's a two-sided coin. It's like, one, we can it'll allow us to protect ourselves and pat ourselves in the back at the same time and say, like, if this movie does bad, it's because people aren't they don't want to see this, and they're bad people for being against this political notion. That's one. Or two, it could even also be they were afraid to expose this as one of the natures of the film, because they know people are tired of this whole, like, political wokeness agenda that's constantly being thrown at you in the movie seats, or in media, and I guess media in general. And then they're like, we're not going to say anything until the very last minute, so that way, hopefully we still get the seats in. Either way it goes, I think it's a bad look. But I feel like for me personally, it just comes off as very desperate moves to hopefully, like, land right with a particular audience or certain particular audiences, or I don't know. Like, it just seems like like to me it was all Hail Marys.
Well, I get what you're saying on that, but you also have to look at the flip side of that. You have to look at the flip side of the reason why they're doing it. They got competition. So with that competition, they're trying to overshadow that competition with marketing. All right. Jurassic World is not doing strong marketing. F1 is not doing strong marketing, but they're doing good at the box office.
Doing good at the box office, right?
Okay, but they're doing good at the box office.
That's right.
They're making sure that they overshadow their competition as much as they can. Because this is just, I've stated this for weeks.
Right.
I said that this is going to be a very, very competitive month. At the end of June, going all the way to the end of July, it's going to be an extremely competitive month.
Oh, for sure.
You're going to have to realize is that you, as an individual moviegoer, you're not the problem.
Right.
It is the family. Because a family of four, maybe a family of five, let's just go with the family of four. All right. The average family is not going to go see 2 movies in a month.
Oh no, they have to pick and choose which one.
They got to pick and choose one film.
Yeah, which one's worth it?
They got to pick and choose one. So when you got to pick and choose that one film, and let's just say the children, they give the children the option to ask them, what movie would you like to see? Okay, what movie would you like to see? And people fail to realize this too. What comes out the next following weekend after Superman?
So that's that Smurfs, right?
Yes, it is. And then what comes after the next weekend after the Smurfs?
And then Smurfs after Smurfs, it's a Fantastic Four.
There you go. So with all those coming down,
the
average family,
people
have to realize the financial aesthetics and got to understand is that
100%.
You can't look at this as an individual person. Like, for instance, me and you. Okay, I'll speak for myself. I have a movie pass. I can go to movies whenever the hell I want.
Right.
I can watch as many movies as much as I want. If I want to see Superman 5 times in a row that day, I can see it 5 times in a row.
Right.
And if I wanted to.
Right.
I have a pass.
Right.
So if you have a pass, you can go see the movie.
You're not concerned. Yeah.
Right. You're not spending a lot of money. Actually, saving money.
Yeah.
But if you're a family and you're a family of 4, and the average ticket, the average ticket, I'm just talking about adult ticket. I'm not going with the kids. I'm going with the average ticket cost. It's $16.08.
Yes.
That's the average cost for a ticket for 4 people. That's close to $50. And that's just the tickets. We didn't even include the concession stands.
No, yeah, 100%. And see, again, that's why I'm not mad at it. I'm just not sure it's going to be as effective as they think it's going to be. I'm going to take a moment, though, to acknowledge you, Lewis. Appreciate you stopping by. What's up, bro? I miss you, too. We definitely got to get up again. I've been meaning to text you back because I know you texted me the other week. And congratulations, by the way. I know you got your own ministry that you're about to start. So I pray God blesses you on that venture and that it all works out according to God's will. And again, congratulations, bro. Love you, man. Miss you. Keep doing your thing, brother. Stay up. Stay uplifted. Be blessed. And also, I know you have Superman, your Superman thoughts. So put in the comment section for us. Because I know you have your thoughts on Superman. I mean, if everybody remembers the Louis Centeno show, his whole thing was Superman. So, yeah. So for me, it's again, I'm not mad at it. I get why. I'm just not so sure it's going to actually deliver what they're looking for. At the same time, I'm not even sure this is a family-friendly film, considering some of the things you see in the movie. And again,
the humor is going to overtake it because there's so much humor in it.
Yeah, I'm sure, but
it's so much humor in it.
You're still talking about, and this is what I mean. So, like, again, this is why I say I feel like the overexposure of promotion was more damage control than it was promotion, because what you're trying to do is alleviate the things that might be counterintuitive to the whole designed for a family thing. Like, for instance, why would you put in, if this was supposed to be a family affair, whatever, and maybe it's that you're trying to be honest. And look, here's the thing. I actually appreciate the honesty. Like, I told Till, like, I'm glad they showed me exactly what the film's going to be, because it lets me know that I personally don't want to waste my time and money to go see the movie. I'll just wait for it to come out on Max or on the Fire Stick, and that's how I'll see it, because I'm generally not it's not my cup of tea for what he's done with Superman and those characters and DC as a whole. I don't like to see that for DC, but again, that doesn't mean that I feel like I have some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like control or hold on what DC should do. Like, hey, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. That is what it is. But if I had it my way, it definitely wouldn't be what we're seeing. But this is what we're getting. But again, I'm glad a lot of this was shown so that I know this isn't my movie. This isn't for me. Like I said, I'll just wait for it to come out on Max. But whatchamacallit, or I even said, like, unless one of my friends want to take me and they pay for my ticket. But that'll be the only way I go see this film, because other than that, it doesn't intrigue me enough. I'm already disliking it from what I saw in the trailer. I don't like what I'm seeing in the trailer, and that's just to be completely honest.
Like a lot of people,
you know. So that's just that. I just don't like what I'm seeing. It's to me, it's opposite of what I believe was the best DC films we ever got. You know, and that's, you know, going from Dark Knight trilogy to, you know, Zack Snyder's work. You know, hell, even the studio version of Suicide Squad is, to me, still better than this. You know, and that wasn't even David Ayer's true vision, but even that I feel was closer to that brand of what we had in DC before what we're getting now. After I guess you could say after BVS, going into Justice League, and then every other film that kind of came after that was them trying to crack the code of how can we make DC Marvel. And now that they got their beloved Marvel director, I feel like that's what we're getting now. They finally accomplished DC as Marvel. And now they're hoping to get that kind of audience, money or numbers. Although I don't think it's going. I don't know that actually means anything good for them. But I can say that good for you that you probably feel that you've actually finally accomplished Marvelizing DC. Good for you if that's what you wanted. I don't know if it's going to actually work out for you for what you're looking for, but we'll see. But all that to say that, again, I'm not mad at the honesty. I feel it's counterintuitive because it's like in the same notion that you're obviously trying to show what you're offering as far as like a very funny comedic film, with plenty of action. At the same time, there's moments where one would argue, like, I don't think families are interested in seeing Green Lantern flick people off with his ring, power ring. You know what I'm saying? And that might disencourage. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say, like, I feel that there's moments you're just showing too much. I think I'm not against you guys showing like I'm not against you guys aggressively promoting, but in your venture of promoting aggressively, maybe consider still consolidating and conserving some of these scenes for just the movie experience, or maybe again the honesty pays off, and it's like, and maybe that in itself is like gives the parent the ability to say, you know what, I don't mind if there's a few maybe vulgar things that happen. Like you said, there's enough levity maybe to still enjoy the film. I'll just cover my kids' eyes. But I honestly think there's some parents that are just like you said, if there's other children's movies coming out in that same month, why waste my money on Superman? And when I can actually take my kid to go see a more pure movie to watch, like something like Smurfs or Fantastic Four, that as of right now, it doesn't look like it has vulgar moments in it that I have to worry about censoring or covering my kids' ears or covering my kids' eyes. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No, I would say this is that, and again, like I said, it depends on the individual, and it goes back to that point that I was trying to focus on. Now, let's just say hypothetically, just focus on that. Again, like I say, the marketing, like I say, they got to overshadow their competition. Sure. They're doing a great job. I'm talking about they went through just for their marketing, they went through every aspect of marketing. When I mean they market this film, they
all over social media, it's all over
motherfucker.
They promoted it with brands, other products.
Yes,
they went overboard with it.
They're going hard.
Ian still talked about the other day, and I don't think he's put this video up yet, but nonetheless, this is something we discussed, and that was that I haven't seen them go this hard since BVS. BVS was probably the last film I saw this kind of aggressive type of marketing, where this was promoted in other brands, this was promoted all over social media, this was you know what I'm saying, like this was promoted on all the like talk show hosts and things of that nature. It was on that level, I feel, of like I haven't seen. Yeah, BVS was the last film I remember them actually promoting this that hard, to the point where like even this movie or even BVS somehow was promoted in I Am Legend, in a whole nother movie. You saw the BVS, like that's how hard they were promoting BVS, like how much they were anticipating the buildup for BVS. I haven't seen it roll out this strong since then. And again, credit where credit is due. This is exactly what they're doing. I mean, this is everywhere. This is on. I mean, and again, take it how you want it. I think this covers many things. So I think this can be as much of a hats off to credit where credit is due. Like, you guys are aggressively marketing, which is what you should be doing, considering again the types of films you're competing against in this month.
Plus they're starting off the DC studio.
Exactly. Then you also
they're starting it off.
You're starting up again, so you're trying to rebrand, rebuild, and get another audience or a new audience, and maybe at the same time try and consolidate the same audience. So, which is it's a hard feat in itself. I don't, time will tell if they've accomplished that, but at the same time, I do get the viewpoint again, because to me, sometimes it can come across as a bit desperate, and maybe this could be it could be that thought only exists because the norm of the norm of aggressive marketing hasn't been seen in such a long time, that maybe it's coming across as desperate, you know what I'm saying? Because not many films have been this aggressively promoted in such a long time. So I'm well aware that could be the case, but again, I'm all that being said, I'm not so sure what this film's gonna do. I'm not confident. I'm personally not confident it's gonna do the numbers it needs. According to James Gunn, it still doesn't need to do that many numbers, even though they for sure put a lot more money into the marketing.
I'm glad you said that. Because I'm glad you said that, because I'll say this, because people are always talking about the inflation stuff, what the inflation and what the inflation numbers will actually be. Okay, let's put it like this. Okay, let's put it like this. If you actually do the numbers, I did the calculations, I did the numbers, I looked at everything. Okay. Now, and I know a lot of people, okay, I'll put it like this so people can fully understand it, okay? DC is DC. If you're a DC fan, you like it. You can like this version, you can like that version. There's all different interpretations of how you might the character to be portrayed and what you particularly and what you like. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I will say to this day, all right, this Superman film is made for those particular Superman, a particular Superman audience that are the man babies. Right. And what I mean by that is that they have a particular people fail to realize is that the character has evolved. And I'm talking about evolved.
Right.
Okay. So they're stuck on one particular version of the character. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got your version that you want. All right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That is what it is. Yeah.
But as for box office and what we're talking about right now, and I'm going to give y'all my speculations and actually have to do the numbers. All right. When Man of Steel came out, the average ticket was $8.83. All right. And it sold, and the ticket sales was 73.1 billion ticket sales.
Yeah, I think
so the box office. So the box office was 680 million. That's what Man of Steel made at that time. At that time, a ticket now is 1608. So if you got the same amount of sales, which is 73 million tickets sold in the theater, I don't think they're gonna sell that much.
Right, I see what you're saying.
I don't think they're gonna sell that much.
Right.
Why? Because it goes back to what we were just discussing. People, it's the competition factor, and people got to choose on what they have to do for their dollar and what they got to pay. People fail to realize Man of Steel was in his own lane when it came out in 2013. It was in his own lane.
Yeah.
So you got to take that to consideration. So with that being said, do I think that the Superman 2025 be successful? Yes, I know it would be good. Will it beat Man of Steel's box office numbers? I don't believe so that it will. It might tie it, or it might go tab below it. I don't think it's going to be bad, but I believe, just me, it's either going to tie the box office or damn come close to it. Just for the simple fact. And y'all got to remember this too. In this day and age, they have a 45-day window. So after that third week, they're already getting ready to throw it on streaming.
Right.
They're getting ready to throw it up on streaming just like that if it start to die down very, very fast. So you got to take that into consideration
100%.
as well. 100%. You got to take that into consideration as well. So me personally, that's my lane of what I'm saying. So I'm not hating.
No.
Or whatever. But it is what it is.
No, yeah. When I'm saying what I'm saying, it's I don't. Again, I'm not. Look, I know there's people that hate it, and I get it.
Oh yeah.
Look. Again, power to those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, do you? Do you? I just, that's not the way I move over here. But I personally don't got that kind of time to put, invest that kind of energy into that. But that being said, hey, if that's how you choose to roll with it that way. And power to you, man. But again, also for those who, if this is your film, this is your film. When I say what I'm saying, just know it's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of objective thinking. I'm just observing. What the trends, the numbers, and things of that nature. I'm trying to consider different aspects to the situation that would make it to where I believe. I'm kind of like the same boat as you. I don't think it's going to see the same numbers. I'm not even sure it's actually going to come close to it. I told Sil. I initially thought maybe at best, I'm like, it might see 400. That's what I initially thought before they went hard in the marketing. Now I'm like, they might see 500 and above. I don't think they might see 6. But I only say that more so because of where the most recent comic book movies
now
cap has been. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the recent numbers of comic book movies, the numbers they're seeing for some reason haven't passed a certain threshold, with the exception of films like Deadpool and Wolverine, which is the obvious. It was obvious it was going to do well, but other than that, like everything else that kind of came out this year, just or even like leading into the new year, just didn't do the numbers that I think any industry was looking for, or company. So like I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at that as a form of perspective, like what comic book movies are doing now. I will say to Superman's credit, and even Fantastic Four for that matter, is like they are summer releases, so that kind of helps it do better than the releases that came out either in spring or winter, anything in that time period, due to kids still being in school and things of that nature. But I personally don't believe there's enough hype behind DC as a brand as a whole, as a whole, and more so, and actually no, not as a whole, on the cinematic side. Let me correct that. I always forget to do it. Let me say that, because I feel like that's also something we need to acknowledge is fans of either DC or Marvel are fragmented into different arenas, right? Like different avenues, meaning there's DC, and just to stick to the DC, we'll talk about DC fans, but this can also be mirrored on the Marvel side of things. But all that to say that there's DC fans that clearly love DC brand all in all, right? Like they're heavy on the comics, heavy on the animated series, movies, video games, anything that comes out, any kind of merch, product, that, and then obviously movies, TV shows. They're in it for all that, and they know everything, and that's not the majority of movie viewers, especially when it comes to even just DC as a whole. Then you have DC fans that are, I feel like, their only experience or knowledge of DC, and again, this actually is for Marvel as well, and that's their only knowledge is the movies,
pop culture. Yep,
pop culture. That's it. Like they don't have any. They don't have a foot or a dog in the fight when it comes to the comics or the lore. They don't. That doesn't mean anything to them, because all they know is pop culture, what they've seen on the big screen, maybe TV, but mostly the big screen. There is an audience of DC fans that are just DC fans on the film. Like that's all they know. So again, that's why going back to that point that I made earlier when it came to like discussing about the Superman film before its release, or like way before it started even going harder marketing, the fact that like a lot of people that I was talking to like didn't care, like, you know what I'm saying, because they were already lost in the DC, like they did, you know what I'm saying, because DC lost, it's like they didn't know where they were going anymore. They felt like, who's Superman? Like, so there's a new super, like that they'd be like, that there's a new Superman, like what happened to the other? Like it was like I was having those kind of, because they didn't know, because again, they were only fans of film, that's all they know. And for me personally, I feel like that's actually a big chunk of the movie viewers of these films. And I would even argue there might be even more of that than there is just the lane of everything, where like, those of us that indulge in the comics, the deeper lore, so to speak. I feel like because I feel like when it comes to the DC, and again, this can go for any other kind of IP, I guess, but just to stick to DC, when you're talking about that DC film fan, they're in two lanes. They encompass the general audience as much as they encompass a DC film viewer, because, I'll explain what I mean by that, is because, again, a lot of these fans that are fans of the DC films, a lot of them are fans of film, and that's kind of like their knowledge of certain IPs and certain things, right? So they're in it for the movie experience. So when they have already felt like they're lost, or and not even just lost, but if something feels different to them compared to what came before, they're already also in a state of like, I'm not sure this movie's for me, or like they're on the fence about these things. And a lot of people that I know that aren't fans of that are, I guess, and again, this, I'm not saying this to think like this is a fair, composition of all fans. This is just a reflection on my experience that possibly could reflect a overall majority in that arena, but it's in no way, shape, or form the exact quantification of that actual number, right?
That-
But I would say that my experience has been that, and I feel like that kind of fan also has been disenfranchised, so to speak, by what DC has been doing with their previous, like with their recent, like, you know, films, that they just feel lost. They feel like there's nowhere to go. They're kind of disenchanted by what DC has been offering. So when they're even seeing a film like this, like, if we're going to be honest, if we're going to actually be honest, I don't think this film even offers anything different either, if I'm going to be honest. Because, and I'll state why, just to clarify by what I mean by that is that, again, this goes back to my point. It's not as if DC has, and I say DC just because it's the brand that's being used, but we can say maybe Warner Brothers for that matter, but it's not like they haven't been trying to do this, as in like trying to make their movies more campy, more raunchy and humor, more, you know what I'm saying, like, again, trying to crack the Marvel code, what they think is the Marvel code for their DC brand. It's not like they haven't been trying to do this, and in them trying to attempt to do this, I feel like they clearly have lost a fan base. Like, and I'm not even talking about the diehards, as myself, I guess, who really appreciated what they brought or what they gave us with like the Dark Knight trilogy and with Zack Snyder's work and stuff like that. It was clear to me after a certain point that even just average movie viewers, like that, just were fans of the DC movie archetype, right? Like that when you ask them what their favorite DC film is, they point to the Dark Knight. That's what they think the best DC movie is. And then when they see anything that's far from that, you know, so to speak, they're kind of this, and then same thing, they'll look at Man of Steel, they'll be like, oh yeah, I really appreciate it. Like, I liked that film. Like, it was a really good film. I thought it was going to be, you know, they have their reasons of liking it, not because they're Superman fans, but because they just like the way that film was portrayed, and they felt that was like the DC brand, and then that kind of followed up to a certain point, and then obviously, you know, we all fell off the edge.
The piggyback off your point and what you're saying is that there's a flip side to a point that you're actually saying, which is absolutely correct. It's just like with comics, because there are certain versions in comics that you have a particular audience in comics. You pretty much lost those readers.
Right.
They're not going to come back.
Right.
Or if you lost those readers and you decide to, how should I say, you try to change something.
Right.
You try to change something and you try to course correct it. All right. Then you're going to lose that. They might come back. You might have readers that might come back that might be interesting for him or her to come back and read those particular books.
Right.
It's the same thing when it comes down to the movies. So, but again, you know, if you're a DC person, then you can appreciate different elements of, you know, a particular style. You might not like it, and that's fine. Right. You know, it's going to be a particular audience for it. But as for the core, as for the absolute core, it's going to be for this film and just for the DCU as a whole. You know, it's a lot of them that's going to be lost. A lot of them, because, you know, a lot of cats now, and from the research that I've done and the things that I've seen, you know, testimonies, let's see, reaction videos. Right. If you go to blogs and stuff like that, the things that I observed, there's a lot of people now that are late bloomers and they're watching the DCEU and they're tripping about, is this going to continue? What's going on? Is it going to be another one? Because they don't know what's going on.
Because they don't know what's going on.
They don't, because they're getting introduced to what was presented.
Right.
And they don't know where what's going on now that everything is new. There's a lot of people thinking that, like you were saying, there's a lot of people that didn't even know the DCU was even starting.
Right.
The DCU started months ago. Creature Commandos was the first thing for the DCU.
Right.
That was the first thing. Now for cinematically, it's Superman. But as it moving forward, you know, I think the DCU will succeed. It will be good. You know, and moving forward, you know, it's not going to be a downspill. No, because for the simple fact is that they're going all in on this. Right. So it ain't nothing that you can actually say now. I mean, the train is already pumping. It's already started. So You know, now if people want to get, now if you don't want to have this particular version of DC, my only question and only thing that I have is that how y'all going to pump off DC Elseworld? That division. How you going to pump that up? I understand the Batman 2 coming. They're going to stick that in Elseworld. I know that. But what other IPs are you going to stick in that?
Right.
What are you going to go with? Their problem is that they're going to be competing with themselves in-house. Because you're going to have the more mature audience, and then you still going to have the man babies. The man baby is going to trip about the mature stuff. And the mature people that like the mature stuff, where it's going to relate to them, they're not going to really dabble into the campy, like that stuff. Because a lot of people don't really care for a lot of humor all like that. They just don't.
That, and I feel personally, I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm not so sure this is gonna do as well as I think people are anticipating, or even themselves, because I think people have a sense of, people get tired of the same thing over and over again. And again, this is my issue with what this new Superman's bringing, is that it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's nothing new in any way, shape, or form. And that's just a fact. It's just more of the same. And I think people are tired of seeing the same thing on the big screen. I personally think the reason DC, it's the peak, and actually I'll put it like this. I believe the peak of the comic book movie experience, the reason why it was when it was Nolan's trilogy leading to Zack's, I guess,
DCU. DCU.
Yeah, the DCU.
DCU.
The reason that was is because it offered something different.
Yes.
People were able to go see a Marvel movie and appreciate that because it was different from what then, and then they can go see a DC movie and appreciate it because it was different. I believe that was the truth about what we were experiencing in that moment, and then the critics and the bloggers and the tabloids and those that are paid to do what they do by who knows who to create narratives. I believe that was all smoke screens and mirrors, and none of it was real, and that just one side fell for it. And I think they obviously we're talking about Warner Brothers, when they should have banked on the fact that they had something different to offer, because I believe people love when they have diversity of choice in films, in choices, rather than I have to see the same thing over and over and over again. And I think that's also another reason to why there's also lower numbers in superhero films, because when it's more of the same, people are not that interested in it. And it's just weird because we're living in a time where it's like, and I could be wrong here, tell me what you think, but this is personally what I feel is going on. And I feel like it's just strange because instead of living and moving forward in what we know to be true in that reality, it would seem that the agenda is more important, that we're going to continue to write narratives to try and quash that which should be the case scenario, in the sense of, like, instead of letting something different prosper, and I would say something like, let's just say maybe something like Joker 2, that
should have never been made.
Right, it should have never been made, but it was, and I honestly liked it. But I get what you're saying. I personally felt it didn't need to happen. Like, I'm like, no, you guys, the way the first one ended was perfect. Like, that was right. Leave us guessing, leave us in that void of constant, like, what was real, what was not, whatever. I think that was a perfect way to, like, just end that. But what I will say is the way they continued it, the vision and the message of the film was, you couldn't have chosen, I think personally, a better avenue to do that in the sense that, like, it wasn't necessarily meta, but in a way it was. And what I mean by that is that the movie itself is a self-reflection of who we are. And that's what was the funny, that was the joke. And again, funny that this is the Avenue, because you used the Joker movie to tell the biggest joke in the way that Joker would tell it, and in a way that would expose the fans for who they are. And and that's that. We're never satisfied, or unless we get what we want, we will burn it down to the ground type shit, you know, like. And that's exactly what happened in the movie. Like, everybody wanted Arthur Fleck to be Joker. That's what they wanted. So that's what I mean. That was the meta experience of it all. Is you're the viewer, and this is the thing. The first one was just like this. The first one was just like this. As the viewer, you're either the person who's compassionate. You're either one of the clowns on the street that are cheering on what Joker did in the towards the last steps of his the crimes he's committed, because you empathize for his tragedy, and you see the people that have treated him wrong, so you don't see no wrong with the killings that he's committed, and you're kind of on that side. So you're essentially the clowns in the film that take him out of the police car and prop him up on the car and worshiping him for being Joker. Or as a viewer, you are you're Marty or whatever his name is. You know, you're the guy who's skeptical of him. You're his therapist. You're concerned. You're, you know what I'm saying, you see the problem. You're the girl from down the hallway in the apartment who's actually afraid of who he is and his creepiness and things of that nature. You're every other person that's been a victim of his or victim or a participant of his actions. And then the second one does the same thing. You're either his doctor who's really concerned for like what he's really going through, or you're Harley Quinn, or you know what I'm saying, like we are all representative in that film, one way, shape, or form. And then all that to say that the majority of us, like many of the majority in the film, we wanted to see Joker, and instead we got more Arthur Fleck. Like, this is just a man who's broken, you know, who needs help, and we want him to be the Joker. We want him to run paint the streets red with Harley and run off and commit, you know, crimes, because that's what we need. That's what we deserve. That's what should happen, you know, and completely dismissing completely dismissing what the man is going through in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so again, to me, it was a genius film. I feel that if left to the viewers to decide how they really feel about it, without the scrutiny of critics and I guess, yeah, just critics overall, I guess, you know, and then those who had something to say about it before its release, kind of like they did with the first one too. They tried to like kind of cut that movie off its legs, and even in the first one, but luckily, I don't know, that one took off better. But probably because it was just, I don't know, I guess the first of its kind. But either way, again, it's not to say that I don't see the issues that people have with the second film, but for what we got, I definitely still appreciate it for what it was, understanding what Todd Phillips was trying to do there, you know. And I feel like, again, without the critics and all that, like, badgering the film, it probably would have seen better numbers. And it probably would have done better as a whole if people would just be honest for what the film was, and accepting that, rather than critiquing it for what they wanted it to be. But again, I still understand though what the critiques were. You know what I mean? Like, I still understand it. But at the same time, and again, to me, what differentiates this from something like Superman is that it was different. Joker was different. Where this, I don't hold it to that same standard, because you're not doing nothing different. So I can't come up and bat for you and defend you and say like, no, don't critique him because he's just doing something different. Because they're critiquing you because you're not. And I agree with that critique. It's like, you're not doing anything different. It's just more of the same, with different characters and different faces and different capes and different emblems and different IP house.
That's a different take.
It's, yeah, well, different take, I guess, from what we've seen. But what I mean is this: when I say it's not different, meaning it everything looks like aesthetically and tonally
Reciprocate.
looks,
Just
yeah,
reciprocate.
it's just replicating that what's already been done in Guardians, what he's done in Guardians, what he's done even maybe in the Suicide Squad, and things of that nature. Like
Yeah,
so
because he
that's
got
what I
his
mean.
particular style. Yeah, because everybody has their own style on how they
Yeah,
do.
you know what I mean?
So, it has its own style. And like I say, it's nothing wrong with that. And again, like I say, some people are going to gravitate to certain
Yeah.
styles, and that's basically what they
No, yeah, exactly. That's true. Like we gotta just realize, like, hey, look, this is what it is. This is what it's gonna be. If I had my way, I personally would have done this, but this is what they're doing. I again, everything that I'm saying, I'm speaking more on the aspect of like observingly. Like this is what I think, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Like I don't want to say that that I'm absolutely right, but um, I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I might be wrong. I don't. But if I had to, like I said, I don't. I think all the things that I'm mentioning will actually be the things that backfire against it, but I could be wrong. And again, I'm saying just to clarify, I'm not saying this because I'm hating on the film, or because I want it to fail. I'm just saying it because this is what I truly believe. Like, this isn't my wishes. This is just what I believe, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That being said, again, for anybody who's wants to enjoy this, and this is you've enjoyed the trailers, it's something that you like. And again, here's the thing. Prime. I don't mind these kind of films. Like again, it works for me in Guardians. It in a way somewhat worked for me even in the Suicide Squad. The only thing that I didn't like about the Suicide Squad is that it undermined the way certain characters were treated before that movie, and then it creates like this a sense of a lack
inconsistency.
Inconsistency, because now you're treating characters different, and Amanda Waller was no punk for her to just be over. You know what I'm saying? Like she was a cold-hearted bitch. You know what I'm saying? In that first one, you know what I'm saying? And no one's gonna get one up on her. You know what I mean? So like that. So the way and this is my thing, you treat it as a joke, and that was my concern, right? So in his like I told people even then, it's like if let's just say if David Ayer Suicide Squad didn't exist, and then he would have done that movie, it would have been funny, like because that's him, that's his style, and the right characters for it. You're using the right characters for that kind of element. That's how I feel. I personally don't feel that this is for Superman. The way he's going about it, I don't think that's Superman the right way to tell us. But that's me. Again, I understand this is just me.
It's right, because you have your particular version of Superman.
Yeah. And even when I say particular, I would even argue the most modern take of it.
Right. He's not doing that. He put it in a time where you mixing it with today, but then he's taking the time frame of, as they call,
right,
the golden age of comics, which was the silver and the bronze age. In their estimation, which a lot of people don't understand, is that the silver age is what killed comics. Right. If it wasn't for the bronze age, and if it wasn't for the bronze age, the comics wouldn't exist. But people don't know that. But they're taking that version of what they like, that made them feel good. They like that silly, campy, nerdy type of weak type of character. They like the alter ego type of Superman. They like that. They like Clark Kent to be ridiculous, goofy, weak, and all that stuff. And then he can change on a dime and be Superman, and he's just a completely different person. Right. They like that, and that's fine. That's completely fine. That's completely fine. I can speak for myself on that. I never cared for it. I mean, I tell people all the time, I was like, am I a Superman fan? I was a Superman fan. I like Superman. Yeah. Okay. Now, ever since the transition, things change. I've seen different stories. I've seen where you could take the character and change. I love Superman now. For the simple fact is that you take a character and you put him in different situations, and different stories, meaning that out of continuity, You have multiverse stories.
100%.
You have Elseworld stories. You have those particular type of stories where what if this can happen? He did this, he did that, such and such and such. See, I like that. And then last but not least, you know, when they changed the character in comics, because they started, you know, then that's when I gravitated more to the character. And then when Man of Steel hit, that's when I really like Superman, because that grounded the character, that humanized him, that made him more relatable. And you could actually tell. I didn't, you know, that's just me. I can't. And a lot of cats, they didn't like that because, and that's fine. That's fine. But me personally, I'm an adult. I don't want to. I'm an adult. I want things to be to the point where, because I take a lot of stuff seriously anyway. So that's just me pertaining to it. But anyway, you know, I just say with this and with the new age, this is what we got now. So this is something that we can watch. Either you feel it, you feel it. If you don't, you don't. And that's why it's called subjective. It's subjective. It's subjective, and everybody can have, you know, you got this particular audience and you got the audience that's not, because I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be a lot of people that are going to leave. They're just not gonna fuck with it. They're not. They're not, depending on how many people they're going to gain. So be it. Time will tell, and we'll see.
Time will tell. That's all we can really say there. Is time will tell. I definitely, again, like, for those who want to enjoy it and that are enjoying it, man, power to you. If this is what you've been waiting for, I'm glad you finally got it. I just know, for me, you know, it is what it is. I still got Man of Steel, and honestly, still holds up.
We still, and that's the thing, and a lot of cats, and to this day, even when we talk about Man of Steel, like, for instance, there's certain individuals that really, I'm going to give y'all a rebuttal to anybody that gives you a negative on as to why they don't like something. And I'm going to tell you exactly what to tell them. All right. I'm going to tell you exactly what Stan Lee said. All right. If I don't know what Stan Lee said, this is one of his most iconic stating in an interview that he said. He's like, he gets sick and tired of people getting upset with characters who going to be who, how the story is going to be. I'm the writer. If I'm writing it and that's how I feel what the character is going to do or how I want the story to be, that's how I want it. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not. You cannot appease everybody. You're not. True. So how I write it and how I want to write it and how I want it done, that's how I'm going to do it. And he gets sick and tired of it. So it's like, you cannot. So this is the rebuttal. How they wrote it, how they wanted it, how they felt how it should be. That's how they wanted it. That's how they wanted it. The writer, whatever the writer and what they do. So you get mad at the writer. You never get mad at the director. The director is supposed to give you a visual of what, like the artist. The artist is not the writer. The artist is telling you exactly what the writer wants it to be, and you're depicting that scene and how to depict it. The writer is who you do, because they're the one that's doing the story. So don't get mad at what it is. It's the writer. Whatever the writer wants it, he or she wants it to be. That's what they want. Okay, it don't matter what you like. It's up to the writer, because that writer ain't going to appease everybody. He's just not. And I love what Stan Lee said. He said it straight out. What he don't give a damn. It's about what I wrote, how I wrote it, how I want it to be, and that's just the way it goes. Simple as that. You can't get mad about it. You're not going to appease it. You're not going to be happy. You know, so it is what it is.
No, that's just what it is, man. That's why it's like, this is why I say, like, man, it's not. Why are you wasting your energy on this type of feeling some type of way about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
they're fictional characters.
Yeah, you can have your opinion all you want. You know, that's fine. You know, that's and we can discuss that, but don't take it personal. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it personal. Even if by chance, maybe by chance the move is a personal move, right? Like maybe James Gunn did do half the things he did out of just pure wanting to, you know, I don't know, make us feel some type of way. Those who knew he knew were gonna be dissatisfied. Sure, maybe. I ain't gonna speculate though. I don't know if that's true or not. You know, like I told people from the beginning, like even when the Superman movie came out, I'm like, look, if we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it in a critiqueful way of the art of the work of, or you know, what you disagree with, whatever.
Exactly.
But don't make it personal. You know what I'm saying? Because in the end of the day, like none of that matters. You know what I mean? Like who cares about? I mean, because like look, there's so many things you could take and like pinpoint. Sure, like oh, you know the infamous you know, the pedophile things, and it's like all right, sure, but like I don't know if people care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like so I don't think people will care enough to make that the reason why they should see this, not see this film. So how about
right? And a lot of people don't even know what James Gunn did, and if they did, a lot of people don't live a damn. They don't care.
They don't really care because
I'm one of those people. I don't care what James Gunn did. I don't really give a damn.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got a job. He's hired to do a job. That's his job. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's
you
bad.
Got to separate the personal from the professional. Like
exactly,
artist's work from whatever he does outside of his work.
Right, and I don't knock James Gunn for being a decent director, a producer, or a writer. There's certain things that he did good with. For example, you know, I like Brightburn. It was tight. He produced, he wrote it, he produced it, he didn't direct it.
Well, he produced it. You're right. He produced it.
He produced it. Same
he was a producer on it.
Right. Just like with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? I liked it part 1. I didn't care for part 2 all like that. Yep. I love part 3. You know, so I mean, there's certain things that he does and some of his other movies that he did, I don't care for. Well, except I don't care for those other movies. That's not my big deal. The Suicide Squad, really wasn't my thing.
No, exactly.
You know, it wasn't my thing like that.
Right.
There's what else? What was another movie that he did? That's it. And the only thing that I say that came together where he excelled and they came together and they did a great movie was Die the Dead. He wrote Die the Dead. Zach directed it. And Die the Dead was tight.
Yeah.
So you can't knock the man for what certain things that he done because his track record it's not bad. You don't have a bad track record on his films. I will.
So it's funny you bring that up though, because this was something I did bring up with Sil that I thought was kind of funny. If I'm gonna just take a moment to be honest though, and that's that I did find it funny that they're promoting him just as much as they're promoting Superman for this film.
Right.
And then it's funny though, because it's like, but the only movie anybody knows you for is Guardians. You know, like you're not a Nolan. You know, Nolan, when they say the same director that brought you Dark Knight, Interstellar, Inception, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like it always follows what the movies they've done. And it actually, and then the same thing could be said about Zach. Like it's always like the same director that brought you 300,
Man of Steel,
you know,
and Dawn of the Dead.
You know what I'm saying? Watchmen. Like there's a catalog. My guy, you're not that kind of director. You don't got that catalog. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I thought it was kind of funny that they're promoting him as if he's some sort of like top-notch name when he's really not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not.
You know what? They're not promoting him. He's doing that to himself because you got to remember he is co-CEO.
That's really what I'm trying to point out here.
Yeah. He doing that for himself, and he putting himself in the forefront. Which to me personally, that's getting on my damn nerves.
Right.
Because you being the co-CEO, you need to sit back in the background and let them flourish. You could talk behind the scenes on certain things, but this dude is on everything. I mean, like, really?
It's crazy, dude. It's just crazy. It's funny you brought that up because I was like, yo, me and Sil talked about that. I'm like, yo, this guy's getting overbearing with that stuff. It's too much. And I think again, for me, it was just funny because I'm like, you're trying to present yourself as if you're some sort of Nolan or Scorsese, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're just not, my guy. Like, again, credit to you with what you've done, but you're not them by no stretch of the imagination of why they are who they are. You are not them, bro. Yeah. And that's why I thought it was just silly that you're trying too hard to put yourself in the forefront of this movie. And I feel the same way you do. And that's that, my guy. And this is actually what I told Sil on one of the other times is that personally, I don't even think he should have directed the Superman film. I think you're the co-CEO of DC Studios. You have a hand in every film, but you should have brought forward a different director for this movie and then just worked hands-on with that director. That's what you should have done.
But I'm gonna tell you the reason why he did that though. And I told everybody the reason why he did do this,
Mhm.
because when he was presented to be co-CEO and to get DC Studios off the ground, he was going to make sure that, well, actually, before he even got it, WB had asked him to write a Superman script back in 2000.
Right. There's that story of that.
Right,
for
right.
Sure.
So, but even if that wasn't the case, he was like, look, since I am head of co-CEO and I got a job to do, it's going to be on my watch. So if anything that happens, I'm going to be the one that's going to be responsible. That's why he wrote it. That's why he produced it. And that's why he directed it. So, and that's the same thing he did with Creature Commandos. He wrote it. He directed it. He didn't do the animation, but he the one that did all the directions for all this to get this stuff jumped off, to start it off. Just with the same thing with Peacemaker. The only one that he's not doing after this is Supergirl. That he for the next 3 projects that started off, he is the one that forefronted all this to get this stuff jumped off. And if he's holding himself responsible.
Look, a part of me can understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
A part of me feels like that could also be the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's imagine if Kevin Feige did the same thing. You know what I mean? And granted, maybe he's not a director, but imagine he did the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you are doing too much. I'm glad that the first person to, and actually, I think sometimes we give Kevin Feige too much of all the credit and not realize that actually Jon Favreau is probably more of the reason why the MCU started off than actually Kevin Feige, due to his success with Iron Man 1. And well, hats off to Jon Favreau. But my whole point there is that at least Kevin Feige had the sense of knowing, like, I'm going to have other directors come direct, because eventually I am going to still be hands-on, because he still is hands-on.
Yeah, he's the producer. Like, Kevin Feige produced everything, basically.
You know what I mean? So it's like, he didn't have to do everything to do everything. You get what I'm saying? Like, he still did everything without doing everything. You get what I mean? Like, and that would have been fine if James Gunn would have taken that approach, which I think he should have personally, because I think and it's like, so part of me, like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. But at the same time, I'm just like, I think because you do this, you make it too personal. And I feel like that's also showing to the point to now you're promoting yourself for no freaking reason. You know what I'm saying? You're making yourself the point of conversation when you shouldn't be the point of conversation. People should be just having the conversation about the art, not the person who created, like, you know what I'm saying? Not about you, who's in charge of it all, but just about the art. We should just be talking about Superman. The conversation shouldn't be somehow like, oh, you know, James Gunn did this, James Gunn's doing that, he said this, he did that. It's like, dude, you're exposing yourself too much. Like, reserve some of that. We don't need to know everything that you think. Keep that to yourself, bro. Move in silence. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, move and do what you got to do. Now, granted, again, I get it to a certain degree, though. Like, all right, this is the first film. You want to show that you're taking ownership and responsibility over this new universe. And I get it. Like, so part of me can get that. I really do. I guess maybe if he would have just been more like silent and just directed and just did everything on that end, and then let everything else work and the way it's supposed to, as far as like promotional goes. Let the actors do their job. Let them do the how do you say the interviews and all that, promoting that. Let your marketing do what they got to do. But the fact that you kind of made this about yourself, that's the part where it's like, yo, chill out, bro. Like, this isn't about you, but the fact that you're making it about you concerns me. And this is what if I'm going to be honest, what it feels like is you want that same recognition Zack Snyder has. But let me tell you something, buddy. Zack Snyder did not have to go out of his way to become that kind of a director. People just acknowledged him for his work, whether they hated or loved him. He just became the the center point of our conversations naturally, organically. He didn't put himself in that position. He didn't force interviews. He didn't force promos of himself. None of that happened. In fact, the ones you even see now to this point, I'm almost certain it's more Netflix wanting him to do that because they recognize you're a name now. So we want you to promote this. We need you to say something about this. Even when it came to Zack Snyder's Justice League, even in that scenario, he probably just did it because he knew he had to, because he knew Warner Brothers wouldn't. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one to like promote things. I'll even have my actors, the actors that I'll see what they can do, and they were on board. But I'll say that Zack Snyder's never been the kind of guy to like, oh, I'm gonna put myself out there. Like, no, dude, we just all acknowledged who he was, and he embraced it, for what it was. But all that happened organically is my whole point. Him coming out on Joe Rogan's podcast. Nobody ends up on there because they asked to be there. They end up on there because they are asked to be there. You understand what I mean? So like everything that's happened for Zack Snyder as a director, all organically. You, my friend, you're trying to force this, and it's looking ugly. And I don't really like it.
Well, it can look ugly, but then when you look at the back end, it also could be a personal agenda as well on how this all going to translate. So regardless of what actually happens and what actually goes, it is
100%.
I
mean, a part of me feels like it could be that a part of me also feels like the reason they're doing that is because they're really trying to amp up his fan base, because he does have a fan base, right? I'm not trying to pretend that he doesn't have one, right? Like I know he has one, but again, it's like this whole like Zack Snyder never put himself in front of any of his projects. He always let his projects speak for themselves. His actors, he would give them the spotlight, the way every director does. It's not really just a Zack Snyder thing. It's that's what directors do.
Yeah, I've never known a director like this before to ever do anything like
this. What I mean?
I've never known a director. I've never known. Maybe it's because he co-CEO, and maybe that's what he wants to do. That could be part of it. Right. But even that, even co-CEOs,
how many co-CEOs
they don't even be in the forefront.
That's what I mean. How many CEOs do you see talking?
So it's more of an ego trip than anything. But again, like I say,
it could be some sort of like chess move.
It's a chess move and a thing. Now, if he so happened to do a puffy move where he's on everything and his face is like plastered and you got to see him on all the projects. Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, it's a trend. Because even when you see Creature Commandos, when you first watch it, and even in the credits, you see him on the keyboard doing this in animation form. And it's like he put himself into it. At first, it didn't bother me. Okay, that's cool. But now he's doing the Superman. He all over the place. He's plastered. My only question is that will you do the same thing for Supergirl?
Right.
That's going to be the question. If he does it for Supergirl, he does have an ego complex. And that's where it's really going to get bad. And I'm be like, because he's not directing Supergirl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's producing it.
He's producing it, yeah.
He's producing it. He didn't write it. He's not directing it. He's a producer. Right. But he's not, he's not doing anything else with it. So we're going to see exactly how this goes with that. Hopefully it's only for this. But other than that, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Because we can't get out of it now. It's already jumping and rolling. Right. So people they're saying it's going to happen this, people. The ship is already sailed. And it ain't 100%. Sinking. It ain't sinking. It ain't sinking. This is moving.
Or I'll put it like this.
It ain't the Titanic.
I'll put it like this. Even if it does sink, they have a plan for it. Is my whole point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it does sink, there's plenty of life rafts to see them to the next boat or something.
Right, because the plan that they got set up for the plan they got set up is that they're going to do the cinematic. They're also going to do the animation. And then you're also going to have the TV shows, because right after this, I did say, that's what I forgot. Lanterns come out before Supergirl, because the Lantern show comes out. I forgot about that. Right. The Lantern show comes out, and Peacemaker 2 come out this fall. So you got Peacemaker 2, you got Lanterns, and then you got Supergirl.
Right.
And then the year after that, I don't know what coming out after that. I just know that Batman 2 is supposed to be coming out, and that's not part of DCU. Right. That's going to be put in Elseworld. So we're going to see how all this translates on how it goes. So only time will tell. All we can do right now is just see how this ship is going to sail.
100%.
We're just going to see how it sails. Like I say, I'm a DC fan. I like it either way it goes. It's just going to be certain stuff I'm not going to like most. Yeah. But with this, I dived in the books. I'm always in the books, but I'm really into the books now. Like, oh my God! Like
you've been. I'm sure you've been into those absolute.
Dog. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
if
that
y'all
new
not
Absolute
reading
Superman?
Absolute, did you what? Did you read any of them?
I just caught up with the Absolute Superman. I started the Absolute Batman. I'm catching up, but I'm liking. First off, that Absolute Superman run so far, tough, bro.
Yes.
Oh
So
my
if y'all,
gosh!
and this is what.
And I don't want to spoil it for nobody because y'all really got to go read this one.
No, if y'all not, because right now they're so far. Well, I know
because there's
the
Absolute
new book. I just got it downloaded today. I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
Superman, Absolute Superman 9 came out today.
Mm.
Absolute Wonder Woman 9 comes out at the end of July.
Right.
And Absolute, is it Batman 10? I think it comes out at the end of the month or the middle of the month. I gotta check it. Okay. But if y'all not, I'll just give y'all a synopsis just give y'all a quick synopsis on the characters. Okay.
Right.
Superman, he's basically on Krypton still. Yeah. So with him being on Krypton, he has the ideologies and everything on Krypton because basically his parents were engineers. Mm-hmm. All right. And with his parents being engineers, there's a lot of corruption, all type of crap that's on Krypton. I'm not going to say whatever else. That's all you need to know on that. Right. Wonder Woman. Oh my God. Absolute Wonder Woman is fantastic. Like, she's not, I'm just going to give y'all a quick glimpse. In the beginning, she's not in how can I word? You know what? I'll just tell y'all in the beginning, then y'all got to read the rest. Right. She's not an Amazon. No, she is an Amazon. She was born an Amazon. But Zeus took Diana from the Amazons in Themyscira. They didn't know that she was born because Zeus forged her from clay. Okay. And Circe is a minion of hell. Yes. One of the, was it not Aphrodite, but one of the gods of Athena? I can't think of her damn name. Anyway, they give her to Circe in hell. Okay. So when they give her to Circe in hell, she is forbidden by Zeus that you cannot say the word Amazon. Even though Diana is an Amazon, she is going to be brought up in hell with Circe. And this is where the conflict is going to happen. She's raised in hell. And the Amazons, the reason why they took Diana away from the Amazons because they disobeyed Zeus. So for her, she's the last Amazon to be birthed as an Amazon. So they took the last Amazon, which is Diana, took her away, put her in hell with Circe. Circe is a minion of hell. So she's going to she's getting brought up by Circe with the ideologies of hell, but the actual morals and the stuff that Diana already has is already inside of her as a child. Right. But you see her grow up in hell. I'm not going to tell you. I'm telling you. Right. Absolute Wonder Woman is off the fucking hook, bro. Wow. And Batman, Absolute Batman, is that he don't have money. Right. So he ain't rich. Right. Okay. He's not rich. Right. So he got all these. How can I put it? He's a big Batman. He got an axe for his right, and he's not rich, so he doesn't come from money. Right. But he's very smart. Yes, and he's skilled, but the money factor is not in the play. Matter of fact,
which I love, to be honest. I love that because that's always been he could only do all that because he's rich. Right. You know, like it's like, well, what are you gonna say now? What are you gonna say now?
I would just tell everybody, if you haven't read the Absolute, and I'm glad that that's the one thing DC with the comics that they absolutely did. That's fantastic. The Absolute series is that they have one for the continuity for the people that want to stay with that. Right. But if you got the ones that want to have something different, that's a little bit more serious, you can read that version of Absolute. And I'm telling you, that continuity part, people ain't fucking with that. They messing with the new shit. Yeah. And the new shit, it's fire, man. It's fire. And to me, don't get me wrong, the Batman one is tight. But the one that y'all really gonna get into, I'm telling you, I got Wonder Woman, Superman. Oh my God, it's so hard to put it because Batman off the hook. Suit. You say what? The Superman wears. The Superman one is, oh my God. Woo! I'm telling you, the
Yeah.
Superman one is off the hook, man. If y'all
Yeah.
not reading comics right now, y'all not reading absolute DC. I'm telling you, man, this shit is off the fucking hook.
You're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't read that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you really is. You're doing a disservice if you're not reading. There's some other books that and comics that they're not really trying to really put out there like that, and that's the problem. There's a lot of great stories that's going on in DC right now, and it's like and I ain't gonna try to y'all gonna get me started, but when it come down to the books and it actually come to this stuff, they're there.
Yeah,
they're there, and it's just like the stories are there. So
100%, and that's why I was like, I forgot who I told it. I don't know if it was Cell or Millennial Mike, but I was like luckily DC has that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're not a fan of what they're doing with the films, you can at least bet on the comics, man. The comics are really doing it justice, especially with that Absolute series. It's really great. I'm having a blast with it. And then everything else that they do is actually on point. Like I'm even I've been playing that DC Dark Legions game on my phone. That's fun to play. And I'll tell you this much. The Superman on there don't got undies, so they clearly got it right. You know what I'm saying? They know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I do find funny. I feel like everything else knows what they're doing. Like the Superman in the comics, at least the Absolute run, and then like I said, these games. They just dropped a new one too, another mobile game. And again, same thing. Superman don't got no underwears.
Now the thing is, when it come down to DC now, is that where they're going to go with their animation, because the Tomorrowverse, they concluded it because they know that they actually they concluded it. The Tomorrowverse, to me, when they started it, they messed it up, in my opinion. And I'm glad that they stopped it, because they caught themselves before it went too far. They stopped themselves. They concluded it, and now I will say the next animated universe that they do, and they're going to go ahead and do animation. To me personally, don't do if you're gonna do some more. If you're gonna get something animated and they're going to do it real hard, it all depends on what direction they're going to go. And if you're trying to gravitate the kids, then you're going to hurt yourself. Because to me personally, if you're going to do an animation, I think they should do. Once Absolute get a little bit better, once Absolute go a little bit further, I think they should try to flirt with the Absolute. Do that in animation style. You probably can go ahead and do Deceased. You could probably do a little bit of that. You could flirt into that, or you can go into what's another one? I'm trying to think. Oh, that's too hardcore. They can't do that.
Which one? Deceased or?
No, not Deceased. I was talking about Dark Multiverse. They can't do that.
The Dark Multiverse.
Yeah,
that's what the Dark Legion game is about. That's what the Dark.
Oh, it's Dark Multiverse. It is okay. So they can't. It's just certain things they can't do. Now, if you want to watch some stuff that's on DC now, that's good. Sandman season 2 is out. Oh God, lovely. If you ain't watching,
what just came out on Max was that Batman Ninja, the second movie now, that just came out, and that one low key, like I'm like, yo, they're doing something here. Like,
with Batman stuff, I try my best not to watch so much Batman stuff because they use Batman so much. And
true, but the reason why I like this one is because they introduced the Justice League, except because I don't want to spoil it, but it's called the Yakuza League.
That's Batman Ninja. It's another part to it.
Yeah, there's a part 2 to it now, which is
okay.
Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League. And bro, it's I just like it because it's dope. It's almost kind of like it's like that Star Wars what is it called? Star Wars not What If. Star Wars something, but it's like what if Star Wars was anime type shit. That's what it feels like to me. You know what I mean? It gives it that vibe because it's clearly anime style. You know what I'm saying? It's so anime, it's ridiculous, but I love it.
Check that out.
Yeah, it's like like the Japanese know what they're doing with these with these DC characters.
But that's the thing when they, and it all depends. And like I said again, it depends on the writer and the artist and what they
100%.
do. I would tell y'all this. Now, I would tell you a book that's going to sell a lot. I think this book is going to kick off DC a lot. Well, even though Absolute is selling very well.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about a book that's going to sell because y'all know Hush 2 is coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Right. If y'all haven't, because the new video was up with Josh Lube and Jim Lee. So they actually had a little conference. It's like 40 minutes long. They talked about it or whatever like that. They brought everybody back that did Hush 1 and everybody is doing Hush 2.
Right.
So Just Lube is the one that's writing it. We already know Jim Lee is doing the art. So you already know, baby.
Boy.
So my thing is that, hey,
man,
look, that Hush 2,
man,
that's gonna be, y'all gotta watch the interview. I'm not gonna y'all watch it or whatever like that, but at the same time, they really broke down on how the first Hush came together. And I was like, wow. See, and then we're gonna see if it can actually magically. Now, do I think Hush 2 is going to match part 1? I don't think so. I don't think so, because the way they broke down how Hush 1 and how it came about, I don't think you're going to recapture that magic. The way they broke it down, it was they said, because even Jim Lee said it was just magical how Hush 1 came together. Now the way they're doing this is, even though they got everybody together, but it's a simple fact is that's why they said they're taking their time with the book. Yeah. And they're going to give you something. They're going to give you something special. They're not going to. I'm telling you, they're not. Right. So it's going to be good. But can it be as good as part 1? It's a possibility. As the first one, it's a possibility.
I think
can it be better? I don't know if it's going to be better.
I don't know about better. But it might
I don't know about better.
But
if it's, you never know. But with Luke,
you never know.
And hey, if Jim Lee, as long as Jim Lee doing the art, I'm already sold.
I'm already
so it don't even matter.
Anything Jim Lee's attached to, I'm kind of there already. I love his art. I just
sold. And Jim Lou is a good writer. So don't act like that. He's not. He's a very good writer.
100%.
So I just tell people, DC in the comic department right now, slowly but surely, is doing this thing, and they're doing good things. The problem is that they're not going to market it as much. People are not getting into comics like they used to. Right. And that's the thing that hurts me when it comes down to comics. I've always brought this idea. I even tweeted it out to Jim Lee. He ain't never responded back. But I always thought that you should finally, for people to start reading comics again fully, you're going to have your diehard readers. Okay. You're going to have it. Right. But to bring people that used to read comics and bring them back, I was thinking of a way that you can do tie-ins where you do an episode. You watch it on the episode, but to continue the story on the next episode, you got to get the comic book. You got to read the book. Right. And then you can do a show. And then you got to read the book. That's how people can get engaged and stuff. If you do a tie-in, you can do something of that magnitude. Now, could it be expensive? We don't know. Could they do something of that magnitude? Sure. But at the same time, books is dying. Right. And and again, I'm about to do this video talking about how the comic book companies like Image and stuff, they're in bankruptcy. They're doing a lot of layoffs. DC is in that verge of doing the same thing. Just about. Marvel is in shambles. If y'all don't even know, Marvel all jacked up. And the comic industry is just but DC right now and what they're doing, they're afloat of what they're providing readers. So that's just my look. That's just
No, I mean, I think you're right about that. I personally on the I don't know if you have the DC Infinite app.
I do.
So I got that, and they always ask care to give us some reviews or advice or ideas, whatever And I personally think you're. I mean, I appreciate that some of these guys don't get flagged because it's like. Sometimes I don't have the time to actually read a certain comic, I know okay, that certain run has passed me up, so I like to just watch YouTube videos and get the visuals of the panels on the screen, and then the guy breaks it down, the story. He's still saying the story, narrating it.
They won't get flagged because they got permissions. They got
So, but my thing is why not take charge of that then, and do that for the DC Infinite app? Like, sometimes people don't have time to actually read something, but if you create the audible version of them in the app itself, along with maybe even like, motion panels, like I think that could spark that, like, okay, I can actually get into this because I don't have to necessarily stop what I'm doing. I can actually like have it playing and then glance at the panel, still be at all, and then like still do what I'm doing. Because sometimes, again, a lot of these things that I'm comic lines that I've missed or runs that I've missed, that's what I do. I just go back on. I'll go on YouTube and catch up on what I missed, just so I can then pick up, on the actual comic where it's at now. But it's so that way I can at least like do what I'm doing and not have to like stop what I'm doing, like whether that's working or at home doing something. But I'm able to boom, put that up, listen to it, watch the panels, glance and like, oh man, it's dope, whatever. But then still do what I'm doing over here. At least until like I can actually then go into the DC Infinite app and then pick up where I'm at and actually start reading it myself. But I think in general, like throw that all to the wind, and it's like still the concept, if they were to do that, like just give people the audible version of things,
the audio version.
Yeah, I think that would work because again, even books are doing that now, like for a reason. The audible books exist for a reason now, and that's because it's a new form of intaking that which used to be read, but like time due to life, what I'm saying, the way life works in this moment, people don't have that kind of downtime anymore. So it's like,
I mean, but you have the experience with it. It depends on the person because you actually want to see what's on the page.
Oh, 100%. But that's why I said still offer the motion panel, right? So like it offer so like I could probably like place my phone somewhere and then hear it, but at the same time I could see the panel. I could see the artwork. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's part of the experience. For sure it's not.
Oh, I got you. I got you what you're saying. I got what you're saying. But yeah, so that's the thing because it's that, and I'm not disagreeing with you on it.
Yeah,
that's why I say there's different ways on how to do it.
But I like your idea. That was dope. I think that actually work.
That and then on but the thing is that they're trying different ways on how to get people to go ahead and read comics. Right. And me personally, I'm an old head. But even now, I've adjusted to the new stuff just because of what is. But I like to have the actual book in my hand.
Oh, 100%.
I like 100%. To smell the paper and feel through it. And, feel and just have it, the physical. You know what I mean? I just like that. But don't get me wrong. The digital was cool. Like I said, I don't have none of the physical copies of Absolute. Yeah. I got all my Absolutes on Kindle. I get all my stuff on the Kindle app.
Yeah.
So see, I get all my stuff on the Kindle app.
Yep.
So that's on I purchase them there and I read them all, and I read it on there. So I get all my stuff on the Kindle app and on Kindle, but pretty much that's where you can get it because some of the new stuff is not on
it's
DC.
Not on DC Infinite, right?
Yeah, it's not on DC Infinite yet, so you got to go to Kindle to get it.
Yeah.
But you gotta but other than that, I read it, so it's cool. I mean. Hey, and I mean, but I'm going to see if they got that. But a lot of the books now, even if you go to your nearest comic book store, like some of the guys, they say they're not really pushing out just the regular books. And like they said in the thing, they're pushing out graphic novels because they want. So once the series is over with, they're going to push out the graphic novel where you'll have the full book, so you can get the full book. They're going to do They're just going to do They're going to do the single ones.
That makes sense. That makes sense, though.
That makes sense. That makes sense. If you want to get, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And they're saying it because that cuts down. What was the thing that they said that cuts down
production costs? Like what?
Production costs. Dang, I don't know how I forgot that word. Yeah, it cuts down the production costs.
Because of, wasting so much money on pages and print and all that.
And the printing, right?
Last,
and basically what the digital does is that it minimizes reissues. Yes. So if the book. Let's just say if the comic book store got, let's just say they got 30 copies of the book.
Yeah.
That book sell out. You know what I mean? And they got to mix
That's kind of crazy to think about, though, right? Like,
right. That's why they stopped doing it. So let's just say it's sold out and then they give them 60. Yeah. Right? They give them 60 copies to sell. Well, maybe that 60 ain't going to fully sell. Maybe out of that 60, they only sell 25.
Yeah.
Or maybe match with the 30 and they still got 30 left over.
Yeah.
They don't want to go through that. That's why they said now, when it comes down to the books, particular books, they'll send it to the comic book store in graphic novel, or it might be like a real popular one where you can actually get it at the store. But that's why they say they put it up on digital, where they ain't got to worry about reruns.
That's kind of cool because I feel like that kind of rarefies those copies that do come out. It rarefies them even more. Like I mean, and that's that they're still graded in that format right now. Like if you get the first copy or the first issue, the first run, like it's graded in a certain way.
Yeah.
But imagine when that's like the only issue you're getting at all, like period. Like that'll up the value on those things a lot. Like for those that collect, for that reason, for like.
Yeah, because people don't understand how the 90s was, man. Comics was so oversaturated because they were just throwing out books. Yeah. And I'm talking about, and just growing up in that time, they was just throwing out books. So it's not like that you could not get the book because they'll sell out so fast. They'll just send out some more, and it got oversaturated. Like for me, I have like my dad. There's only 2 comics in my family that's worth a lot of money. I have an original platinum Spider-Man Torment book. I never opened it. It's the platinum. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what the guy told me, only 5,000 of those were in production.
Yeah.
Right, there was only 5,000. The rest of them were just regular. If you got a platinum Spider-Man Torment, you one of the lucky few that got one of those copies. I got a copy. Actually, I got to go up in there and I can show people I got the copy. And my dad has an original from my grandfather. Original Superman 1. The original comic. It's sealed up. It ain't coming out. That book ain't going nowhere. Yes, he has a Superman 1 from 1938. Original
That's
book.
Insane.
Yes, original book. Yes, it's sealed.
Wow.
Yes. So
that's
just for that alone, so I told my dad, let me get it. He like, it ain't going nowhere. I'm going to go get it until I die. I'm like, Dad, you ain't got to worry about that book. That book ain't going nowhere.
Right.
That book ain't going nowhere. It's sealed up. It ain't going nowhere.
You keep that.
It's there. He has it. It's there.
Wow.
And trust me. If we put that book up, we gonna get some money.
Oh yeah.
Woo! But
it's
the crazy thing. People think that, what I'm saying, we be lying about it. I'm like, no, it is an actual real copy.
Right.
1939.
Right.
Superman #1. On day 1, my grandfather bought that book. He bought it. Set in stone. It's an original book. I haven't opened it. You can't because it's sealed up. My grandfather, once he got it, he read it, he sealed it up. He knew at that time to go ahead and preserve it and seal it up. So that's what he did. And it's, I can't tell you how amazing it is. As one day I'm going to, when I go to my dad's, I have to take a picture so everybody can actually see. This is it right here. The original first copy of Superman 1. And it's original.
Right.
It ain't motherfucking reissue. It's a day 1 book.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's fire. Yes, my grandfather had it. That shit is fire.
That's dope as hell, bro.
Yeah, so
that
it's like
dope as hell, bro.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, but other than that, it is what it is.
Wow.
But
wow. I mean, that's again. That's one of those things where, like, when you got something like that, man, you gotta cherish that, man. Boy, not many people can say that, but
absolutely,
like I would say, even with like to find a way to transition this, I would say that I gotta say that, what was your take, since we're talking about animated and comics and all that, what were your thoughts on the Zack Snyder, James Gunn sequence for Rick and Morty? Did you see that?
Shit was funny as hell. That shit was funny as hell. I'm glad that they do things and they troll, so it's kind of cool. But at the same time, I think the more that they're doing this, I believe, I might be reaching, but I think James Gunn is probably going to have Zack do probably another DC film, but not right now.
Yeah,
I think that he will allow him to. I think he's going to bring him in to do one.
Yeah.
But not right now.
Yeah, I don't think he can right now. Well, not that he can't, but he won't, just because, like you said, they don't. I'm sure they don't want to have in-house competition, even though I feel like that's kind of silly because.
No, I mean for the DCU, he'll do a movie and do a property.
Yeah,
whatever one that's coming up, he'll probably ask him to direct one or do one. But
if I had my choice, and I still feel like there's a possibility here now, and I'll tell you why I think this. What I personally like about the Rick and Morty sequence, what it showed me is there's a sense of self-awareness, and there's a sense of like honesty, right? Like where obviously in the show there's an address, they're addressing the issue at hand, right? With Superman, right? So there's that sense of self-awareness, like, all right, like obviously someone like what's his name, Rick, it's not Rick Diaz, no, it's not Rick Sanchez, no, what's his name, Rick Sanchez, right?
I think it's Rick Sanchez,
right? Clearly he has his issues, right? Like with whatever he thinks James Gunn is doing with Superman, right? And obviously he represents, you know what I mean, a vocal number of people that have probably that same issue that obviously Rick Sanchez has. And then even the idea of like Zack Snyder coming in, and then he's inputting his thing, you know, like he's not the man of conversation. He's the man of steel. You should be showing that, whatever, blah, blah. Which is funny because I thought that was funny too, because I'm like, well, even a Man of Steel, this conversation, and I would argue even more intriguing conversation that actually has you like consider the proposition that the film is offering, right? Of
right.
Superman's existence, right? And what he actually contends with as Superman. So I thought that was kind of funny, but what I thought was interesting there, and it could just be on a personal level between the two, that they obviously do maybe have communication with each other, obviously, and they probably do talk about, you know, DC stuff and stuff like that. But if I had like a personal, just from what I see there, what I think could happen, but probably more on the side of like what I really want is that if there is something for Zach to do, like don't waste it on something else other than what you know people want. Because like, let's be honest, right? Like even in that statement of saying like he's gonna do something, it's like, why not have that something be that which those that are fans of his actually want, rather than squander it off on something you selfishly want, you know, like a gun. You understand what I mean? If you're already giving a certain fan base your perspective and what they want out of DC, I guess, and you're well aware that there is another faction of the DC fan base that loves Zack Snyder's work, you know, and what he was bringing, don't squander that ability to actually feed everyone at the same time, if you can. And I'm not saying right now at this moment, but at a certain point in time when you're ready for it, you can actually feed everybody. Everybody can get fed. And I feel he also has an opportunity to do that which really hasn't been done just yet, other than Spider-Man No Way Home, which kind of, but it was only Spider-Man, right? And you'll see where I'm getting at with this. That introduced obviously multiple Spider-Man from different universes, you know, completing the whole meme of all these, you know, Spider-Man's pointing at each other type thing. But on the live screen, which was the first of its kind for Spider-Man, right? But imagine doing that on the big screen with multiple Superman, multiple Batman, but multiple Green Lanterns, multiple, you know what I'm saying? Like actually
talk about
achieving
more
the multiverse exactly on the big screen, which Marvel luckily hasn't done just yet.
You want to know the reason why they won't, why they can't, why they won't do it? It's sad to say this. It's really, really sad to say this, but a lot of individuals in the general casual audience, they'll get confused. And with them getting confused, they will not be able to keep up. They will get totally confused. And it's sad to say that, but they will. Because like for instance, when the Batman 2 comes out, all right, they're going to have to market that to let people know that this is in the Elseworld environment. It's a totally different thing. It's not part of the DCU. The Brave and the Bold, when they break this new Batman, because there's going to be 2 Batmans now. It's going to be 2. All right. So you're going to have, and this is the only thing I gotta get out of here. But the thing is that the 2 things, the reason why they're going to have a problem because they thought about it is that you're going to have the same character in-house. Now you're going to be competing for an audience with 2 of the same character in-house. Don't get me wrong, you're both gonna eat. Don't get me wrong, because it's your property. But you also but this is why I say it's a benefit and a non-benefit. The benefit is going to tell you what the actual audience really cares for. Do they care for a little bit more groundedness, or they're going to care about a little bit more campy? We don't even know what Brave and the Bold or what version of Batman they're going to do for the DCU. We don't even know what we're going to get yet. The only problem is that my only question with that would be is that I hope it's nothing that mirrors. I don't think they'll go this far, but hopefully it doesn't mirror anything that was done in the 60s with Adam West.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't do that or that particular style.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same. I'm really hoping the same. I'm with you on that.
Right, because they're trying, like I said, they're trying to go back to that age where it was exactly it was, and they're trying to bring that from that time over. Right, and that's what they're trying to do. But I got a jet, man. I gotta go. I appreciate it.
No doubt, bro. Appreciate you hopping on here, bro.
No problem, man. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody subscribe to Vegas channel. And hey, it was good talking with Vegas. The people that coming out and everybody's watching. Hey, much love. And everybody in good films. DC for life. Brother. Peace, dog.
Peace, dog. All right. Well, there you have it. That was Prime. Obviously, I mean, we're excited for that Absolute run. I mean, honestly, if you have not read that, do yourself a favor, go read it. It actually does. It's really, really good. You know, here's what I like about our conversation that we just had is that I think it shows that there's an honesty in the sense of like there's for sure a difference of reception to this new Superman movie, and not everybody has obviously the same reaction to it, right? So obviously, I think me and him both, it showed that me and him both kind of have similar concerns, or not concerns, but we see the same. We had the same diagnosis for the film, right? Like what we knew was going to happen to Superman due to James Gunn being the director and the director of that film. But obviously for me, that was a problem in the sense, and not that I dislike his films, I just didn't like the concept of him doing what he's done with Guardians or even Suicide Squad for that matter for Superman, where for him, even though that's not really his bag, he's still willing to go watch the movie. And that's I prefer that. Like that's a good, honest conversation. But even with that being said, obviously there's those who are like me, who this isn't their movie. They're not going to go watch it. And then there are those who are maybe even on the opposite end of both me and Prime. And it's like, they're super excited for this movie. They are going to go watch the movie. And hey, kudos to them, like for going to go watch this movie. Not my movie, like I said, if I could be honest, that's not really my movie. At least that's not the kind of movie I want to see Superman become, or DC for that matter as a whole, especially when you're talking about the primary characters of DC. Like I said, I wouldn't have cared for that kind of movie in Suicide Squad, other than just that it was working off the foundations of certain characters that were already set in that DC that I did like. And that's my issue. That was more so my issue there. So I'm having really, for me personally, it's hard for me to, it was hard for me to swallow these trailers that came out, because it's like, this isn't the way I want to see DC primary characters displayed as far as Superman and Green Lantern, even Hawkgirl for that matter. She is in many iterations one of the original 7 of the Justice League. And then Mr. Terrific, same thing. I just this idea of making them all the product of jokes, like using the characters at the expense of a joke, when not every character I feel should be written this way. This is my issue with a lot of what Marvel's done, like Thor: Love and Thunder. Again, like the fact that they made that campy and comedic. It's like, this is, with tones that were supposed to be serious. I'm not, the question is, conversations I've had with some is like, can you balance that out? And I'm not even sure that that's balanceable. I think in the end of the day, you have to just acknowledge when you have a story that can carry something serious, you treat it as such. Certain things you can't take comedically. You ever tried having a conversation with somebody that's a serious conversation, and then due to maybe your sense of humor, you laugh at something, and then they're offended by it because it's like, this is something serious that they're talking to you about? It's like on that same level, I feel like you have to understand that, certain things, if taking serious, then take it serious. You can't necessarily play with the idea of, how do you say, I'm gonna, there's a serious story being told, but yet I'm going to levy it or sugarcoat it with all this humor. I don't think that that's a solid way to go about it. That being said, I'll say that again, my critiques of Superman are my own personal biases. I although I know many share my viewpoints on it, my concerns for it, and why I know a lot of people that I know aren't going to go watch it. At least not in theaters. They'll probably wait for it to come out in Max like I will, or maybe even watch it on a Fire Stick or something, because it's not I guess taking, I don't know. Again, it's definitely taking the character less serious than before. If we're gonna be honest, just because once you get into that, as many campy jokes are in the trailer, it just seems that to be true. And then even from just like people who have critiqued or reviewed it already because they've watched it already, these were their very critiques, and I'll take their word for it. They wouldn't have to make that up, right? That there's a serious story being told. I've seen in some areas, but there's so many gunisms, as they call it, so many campy jokes or even raunchy jokes throughout the film that lets you know you're watching a gun film. So kind of like you're in and out of the film because of that. I've seen that even like it's that the film is kind of like it's starting at a point that it starts at a point with also introducing characters that it's a universe that exists already that you don't know why it's where it's at, and that there was a problem with that. Like you're kind of being thrown into a world that it already is. You don't know how it became to be, and you don't get no context of how it became to be. Because some films do that, but at least at some certain point, you get a backstory that gives you the known information you need to know why you're where you're at in that moment of the movie, or in that moment in time in the movie. But again, like I said, certain reviews are saying that that's not it. I guess I've been more so paying attention to that than I am the positive reviews, just because most of the positive reviews that I've come across are very much repetitive and very much things that like I'm not interested in, or things that are given, like people just kind of like complimenting the action scenes, which I expect. It's an action movie still at the end of the day, with action characters, so to speak, and then comic book movies for that matter. So it's like, of course, there's going to be action. But and then like other things that even like where they gravitate towards that campiness, and that's just not my cup of tea when it comes to DC, and particularly DC Superman and other characters of the like. Not saying that not saying that characters in DC can't be funny or campy. Some of them are. I don't think Superman is, and not even all the other characters he's chosen to do this with. There's other characters you can do this with. but I wouldn't have chosen the ones he's chosen. That being said, again, if this is your film, if you're like into that, then I guess this movie's for you. But if you're like me, who always revered DC for being different than what Marvel was offering, then yeah, this movie isn't for you. Like as much as it isn't for me. But at the end of the day, you make that choice for yourself whether you want to go watch it or not. I know I won't. There was something else I kind of wanted to discuss. I was hoping to discuss with Prime because I'm sure he has thoughts on these too. But what I'll say is this is, I brought it up a little earlier, and but that was I wanted to kind of dive deeper into that whole political thing about Superman, whether it is political or not, and it clearly is. People are saying it is, but it was just funny because without even watching it, I said that I got the sense of that in one of the in the trailers, not just one of the trailers, but in the trailers, I had the sense that it was going to be political. I didn't really dive into what I thought necessarily what I thought was political about it. But more so because I just wanted to be wrong. I personally just wanted to be wrong about that. I was really hoping like, it's just me. Maybe what I'm just saying, it's maybe I'm looking too deep into it. But personally, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh man, it looks like they're trying to make a political statement here, which personally, like I've said before, plenty of times, is like, I don't need you to shove down my throat what your beliefs is as a director or what your ideology is. I like directors that can do that, like bring political discussion, so to speak, in their films, or philosophical for that matter, but in the form of that exactly, right? Like it's presented to me in a way that isn't necessarily shoving an idea that they hold true of their own, but more so presents these ideas as holistically, in a sense, trying to actually portray every aspect of this in a way that brings honest thought and discussion about certain political ideology or philosophical ideology or even theological ideology for that matter. Um, where if they can do that, then I feel that's a more successful way of pushing that forward, which I feel the movies like the Dark Knight trilogy as a whole, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, even Zack Snyder's Justice League, I feel those movies accomplish that on that level. Watchmen accomplishes that on that level of giving you some sort of, obviously, yeah, political um, uh, commentary, so to speak, but like in an open way, right? Like it lets you decide for yourself what's right or what's wrong, or what's true and what's false, or what do you believe to be, the higher to you, what's your perception of it all. Where I don't like movies that deem on you what is right for you, like they choose it for you. And it seems from what I've seen, like the reviews that I've read, it seems like this is what this movie's doing. And like I said, it felt that way with certain things that I saw in the trailer. Where it's, again, for me personally, like, because here's the reality. I like it in a film when it's open, when it's like an open thought process. It's open for discussion, right? Open, like we can break it down with what's being presented, because it is being presented in that form or fashion that you can take either position and kind of converse about these things in a productive manner. But in the end of the day, if you can't do that, then don't do that at all, and just give me a movie that's meant to entertain me, to even escape those things. Because I can admit, like, even though that's what I like in films, but the reality is most people go to movies to escape the real world, right? So if you can't present the real world in a manner that just allows us to think about it and not feel like we're being forced something about it, then I feel like as a filmmaker, you're also missing the mark there. You should be able to give a movie that doesn't force anything about what's happening in the real world on us. But if you are going to do something of that nature, present it in a form that allows us to think about it, without feeling like you're being bombarded with it or having something that you already oppose shoved in your face or down your throat. Um, and that can also become alarming and makes people defensive rather than if you find a very productive way and open way of actually bringing about that conversation that just allows the person to think about it like, okay, interesting perspective that was being introduced here, even though maybe even your perspective was also introduced, so that there's a fullness of that conversation to be had rather than, oh, this movie shoves some sort of self-righteous, pious ideology down my throat. Again, I wouldn't really know for certain because again, I haven't watched the movie. And like I said, I'm not gonna go watch a movie on my own to waste my own money on it. As I said before, if any of my friends want to pay for my ticket to go see it, sure, I'll go watch it with you guys. But if not, I'm more than fine. I'm more than fine just waiting till it comes out on HBO Max and not waste my money on that and just watch it then and critique it then. Or if it's somehow ends up on the Fire Stick, I'll probably watch it then and which will probably, I imagine it'll probably come up there first before it comes on Max. So that'll probably be the way I do it. Um, but yeah, all because I think if that is true, again, if what's being said about this whole some sort of like political statements being shoved in your face, if that's true, then you missed the mark because again, we're dealing with enough of that as it is. Everything is politicized these days, which is so sad, you know. And that comes from actual political pundits to even just people, regular people, civilians that just have allowed their world and their perception of things to be ideologically captured by whatever, unfortunately, political standings they have, and everything's politicized, and that just sucks because it's like, yo, like what I'm what I've witnessed is when you do that, you lose heart. You lose the heart in certain matters. Like what really should you be looking at like in certain situations? Like I'll be damned if I ever let anything that is tragic be tainted by my own political beliefs or uh you know frame of thought, um that's weird. That's a nasty place to be, so that's why, like I said before, like when it was and again, just to make this clear, I would argue this for anybody this happens to. So like don't just think that, oh, like, well, no, it's because uh I don't know, maybe people think I lean in a certain direction, even though I've made it clear, like, no, I'm very much an independent who has his own. I allow to myself to think freely. I take in all the information that I can gather, and then according to how I think about things, I that's how I think about things and speak about things. Um, and so like, but like I said before, even when it came to like the whole uh, people like burning down Teslas and charging stations and things, to me, like I thought that was just, dude, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't, you can't tell me that that's justifiable just because of what you believe to be right. You're damaging someone else's property. You could be damaging someone else's livelihood, um, all because you're captured. And then what I hate about it is the dishonesty about that too. Like they're not, like, people are not honest about what that really is. They'll try and cover it up with some sort of excuse, but it's like, no, it is what it is. Like we can't cover that up. But again, it's like it's sad that happens, and then even like now recently, like I saw like that whole, with this whole flood that happened in Texas, somehow that's been politicized, where it's like, people don't care, saying because certain people are of different belief systems um and that, or even I guess race for that matter, and which is just crazy to think that would be your frame of thought, which is just weird for sure. Um, but again, it's for even for like a filmmaker, why would you do this? Why would you alienate? Why are you trying to alienate your own fan base? Because you'd be a fool to think that like you only have one side. Either you think you only have majority one side or not. I don't even think that's what it is. I think they actually are well aware that they don't that their base of fans is very much a mixture of different beliefs and ideologies. So I think really what it is again it almost comes off like they're just propping up an excuse in case this movie does flop. But even that, even in doing that, it's like you're alienating a percentage of your fan base. Uh, that you thought it was okay to politicize this movie. Because again, even though this was the review of many, this was also just came out of the own mouth of people that worked on the film, including the director's brother, where it's like, oh no, so you guys, there are political statements being made in this movie for certain. It's not even a mystery; it's for certain, and um, and then you guys are choosing to openly alienate anybody who might disagree with that political statement, which is again a crazy thing to do, especially outside the movie. It's one thing if it's like, hey, well, you put whatever you put in the movie, so it is what it is. But like you're the fact that you're even speaking on it outside of the movie, that's where it's like, whoa, like dude, you guys are ballsy for that one. Like, y'all should really be keeping that separate. Kind of miss those times, because again, even for those for movies that probably do touch on things that are like political or maybe even socially attuned to the fabric of our actual reality and society, for that matter, whether it's governmental or community wise or just ethnic wise, whatever the case may be, all these things. When they're introduced in a movie, sometimes it's okay when it's a sense of some sort of representation. Cool, like because it represents something actually real. When it actually represents something real, like that is actually real to life. Cool, but when it's just for the sake of representation, even though it doesn't make sense, that's where it's like, yo, what the hell are you doing here? And then when it's again at the cost of down, in a sense, downplaying and down talking, it's in a very percentage of your fan base, which is crazy. But all that to say, like, yeah, which is, I feel, dangerous to do in a moment where clearly, it's clear. If it's true, which it seems it is, again, according to the reviews, according to what I felt when I saw the trailers, and then according to what even came out of the mouth of the very own people that made the film, it's crazy that under the I guess you could say temperature of how the media has spun things and how people have felt according to what's been said in the media. The fact that you think this would be the proper time to actually to show this on a film is crazy to me, and then which undermines just your it's again not even just the opposing position to what people may think. My bad. What people may think about that scenario, but even just like the safety of people. Whether it's civilians that have to deal with the problems that actually happen within the city and the real world moments that those in Hollywood and the hills and the politicians in their mansions, whatever, that they want to act like they're tough about the situation, whatever. Like, but you're not the ones actually out here dealing with the calamity of things, whether it's the civilians that have to deal with it or even the people in service that have to deal with this. You're not the one dealing with this. You're not the one facing this. You talk about empty threats thrown at you as if it means something, but try being one of the people that are actually living in this moment. And even politicians that have suffered at the hands of violence. And then you want to cry about, like doing something like you're not doing nothing other than stoking fires that you yourself are not willing to put out. And people out here are actually suffering. And that's why I also feel like that there's a lack of responsibility and accountability and immaturity in the fact that of them actually trying to promote that this is what the film's about, Superman, because then there's also dishonesty there because it's really not that. Anybody who, I mean, like I can see, don't get me wrong, I can see the parallels. I can see the parallels there, but it doesn't mean that that's what the story is about. As far as like the overall lore of Superman, because people are trying to justify it by saying, "Well, Superman is." It's like not really though. Like if we're really gonna be If we want to go there, go technical, whatever. It's not really the case. It's not really the same thing on a technical level. But I can see why people find the parallels. Don't get me wrong. I can see why people see the parallels between Superman being an alien and then, like, I guess the idea of an immigrant, new to. But see, it's just different. It's just really different. Immigrants are not accidentally sent into a country by accident and raised. Saying, like, that's not true. That's not a true. Like, people migrate wherever they migrate purposefully. You know what I'm saying? And land where they land purposefully is my whole point. But then again, you're talking about an alien that just comes into Earth, not like a person from one country that moves to another, migrates to another country. It's really different. But again, I can see how there's a parallel there that people see and maybe do like to use it as some sort of point of reference to a form of conversation that can be conducted about that specific topic. But again, it's like it's just weird, the timing of it all, for sure, I would say. And I feel a bit reckless and disingenuous, if I'll be honest, because you could have promoted this from the jump. You're promoting it now, so I feel like part of that is very disingenuous. But again, that being said, these were my issues already with what I saw in the film. And personally, I'm not really excited for it. And there's something else I did want to bring up. Man, there was something else. I don't know. I can't remember now. But that being said, guys, I'll always advocate for keeping the peace, especially on the internet. I don't know. Like, I just why waste your breath on here? Start. Not even just your breath, even just the energy of typing and texting, whatever you want to insult people with. Don't even bother with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much better things you could be doing with your time and energy. That being said, I keep saying that for some reason. I think I'm trying to find a way to wrap this up. Again, if you're gonna enjoy the matter of fact, actually, I'll say this: if you're someone who has seen the Superman movie and you liked it, reach out to me so we can have that conversation of what you liked it. And then I would even ask, would you mind having a discussion where I invite you and somebody who watched it that didn't like it on that same? Because I would like to have that kind of conversation to get both sides of the fence of that conversation to be had. So reach out to me, message me, DM me, put in the comment section. Again, if you know me, obviously, if this conversation that I just had also it doesn't show you that I'm open to discussion and I'm open to ideas, even if I don't agree with it 100%, I'm still going to be open to it. I'll still respect you for having a different opinion. Doesn't mean that I have to accept your different opinion, but I'll respect it. And that's how I feel about any and everything, you know what I'm saying, from any conversation. So if anything that I've said, you have like an alternate idea to it or belief or viewpoint, let me know. Put it in the comment section. Message me directly. Sorry, guys, I'm like going into my arm or my eye. But yeah, just holler at me. Let me know what you think. On anything that I've said, whether it was from the movies, whether even to this political stuff. Let me know what you guys think. All I can say is as a man who gets paid by the hour and makes decent money on overtime, I'm content with the new bill that just passed. I'm kind of happy about that, but I know there's other things in there that we can discuss. Again, I'm trying to have a conversation about anything and everything here. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about the Diddy trial. You know what I'm saying? Like that just apparently, like, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with that, but apparently some of the charges dropped while he's getting charged for like the more, I guess, minuscule things, like things that he can do time for technically up to like 10 years, but with decent lawyers, which it looks like he had some pretty good lawyers, he might just get like a slap on the wrist with some fines and stuff, or maybe some sort of like probation period type stuff. But let me guys know what you guys think about that. Like, I think that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of, I honestly didn't even know that there was people that were like Diddy fans that were like supporting him throughout the trial. That was interesting to me. I don't know. I mean, like even like lubing themselves up with oil at the end. I think that, I mean, that was crazy. That's crazy. I don't care how much a fan I am of somebody. You're not going to see me out here allowing some other person to drip baby oil on me. That is just insane. Uh, so, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's crazy out here. There's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on, you know. But dude, that's just nuts. When I saw that, I was just like blown away. I saw Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World movie. I thought that was actually decent. Not even decent. I think it was. I thought it was really well. There was a lot of moments I was scared for the people, anxious a bit. You know, like, so there's tense moments throughout that film, but I'm like I'm engaged and really like concerned for like the you know the people in the movie, like the storyline, whatever. The dinosaurs was kind of scary. There are things that I have issues with. I mentioned them. Well, I don't think it's out yet, but I know, like for instance, that there's that creature that looks like he's an alien. You know, so that was weird to me. So I was like, are they about to do a crossover between Alien Predator series with Jurassic Park? Who knows? We'll see. But no, honestly, I can tell you that's not the case. Actually, now that I saw the movie, according to what the story is, I know what that is now. But I'm not going to ruin it for you. Go watch the movie. It's definitely worth the watch. That's a movie that is worth watching. And we're not just saying that because, like, oh, don't go see Superman. No, like, hey, you want to go see Superman? Go see Superman. I don't really care. I know I'm not. I would urge you, if you're like me and are looking forward to the things that I like, and or if you're like me, where you don't like an oversaturation of things, where you're just tired of the same thing, then this movie honestly isn't for you because it is more of the same thing. Anybody who's telling you not, it is. The trailer showed me it is. The reviews I've seen tells me it is. It's a lot of the same things. It's just just with DC characters. So it's you know that's the only thing that's different, I guess. You know, but again, if you want to see that movie, if you're into that, that's your movie. Go see it. What I will say though is Jurassic World, very much like very good movie to watch in theater, very worth to watch. And if they're still showing Mission Impossible out there, that's a movie that's worth to watch. I just seen it like 2 weeks ago, no, a week ago. I don't know if it's still out, but I know the theater I went, it was still there. I thought that was actually a really good movie. That's worth to watch. But Jurassic World for sure is worth to watch. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. Trying to think what else is out there. That's really all I've seen, though, to be honest. Other than that, I'm watching The Bear. I don't know if you guys watch The Bear, but that's what I've been watching. I'm really into like food shows, or not food shows, but something about food these days is like really. I mean, look at me, just look at me. I'm clearly really into food right now. No, but no, but I'm into The Bear right now. It's a really good show. That's kind of like what I've been watching between that and I get told Prime. I just watched that Ninja Batman movie on Max. That was pretty good. Like, again, if you're into anime and you're into DC, that's a movie to watch. That's something to watch. Really cool. Really cool concept of like taking the or not just the Batman, but just like again the DC Justice League characters, or you know Batman characters, whatever DC characters overall, taking them and putting them in like an anime version of a universe. Really cool. If that's what you're into, that's worth to watch. Other than that, I hope you guys have been listening to my music. Again, I had that new single that just dropped, Not Going Home. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. You know, really dope song. It's on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon Music, iHeart, Pandora, wherever you listen to music on. Not Going Home, Il Divino Vega. It's out there. Other than that, obviously like, subscribe. If you follow me on YouTube, hit the bell to get notified when I'm doing something. Obviously on X, you guys catch where I go live all the time. Appreciate those that are watching off X. Appreciate those that were watching off YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Appreciate all y'all, those who were watching on Rumble. Cool, appreciate y'all. But yeah, so if you're on any of those platforms, it's either Il Divino Vega or Vega the Boss. Either way, you can find me on those platforms whenever I go live. I share all my content of what I'm releasing on there. And then, like I said, whether it's X, Facebook, IG, You'll catch it on there. And then again, all the live videos I do, live streams, they come out on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, IG. You can catch me there. That being said, guys, peace out. Much love. God bless. And go live life, man. Go enjoy it to the fullest, man. We out of here, bro.
Martial arts, karate, I bust you down like Itachi, cause you your jitney hachi. Straight kamikaze, I'm talking to bodies as I go straight brawly. Your niggas could hardly be me, I'm not part of the sea. I'm part of the sea like Moses. No psychosis, the hocus pocus. I put importance to stay focused. Ignore all the BS on my timeline, I throw a lifeline for those thinking I ain't about mine. Hit you upside your head with a tie iron. Can't be your time if it's my time. The set to be patient, I'm patiently waiting. It's driving me crazy, cause lately the ops that I'm facing is basic and basically tragically hating. Anticipating my fall, they want it all for themselves. So I make the call, no need to stall. I go and get them all off of the shelf. I take affirmative action, I'm blasting and laughing of how you're reacting to my satisfaction of cashing injections and Benjis and Wilsons, the life that you always imagined. Brother from the goal, yeah. If you ever see him go, it's Holocaust or Holy Ghost. Overcome or overflow, yeah. Either way it's overdose. Watch you walk or comatose, penetrating to your soul, tit for tat and toe for toe, pound for pound and blow for blow. You would never see me fold, claiming that what you don't know, that is how you get exposed. Left for dead with bullet holes.
Leave it alone. Promises all day.